Fox News, fair and balanced.
Connecticut water treatment customers don't keep coming back. They're satisfied the first time. That's right. Connecticut non-electric water treatment systems take care of your water problems, and you won't need to keep calling us for repairs. Join the list of satisfied Connecticut customers who purchased their non-electric water systems years ago and are still enjoying clean, conditioned water without any hassles from timers or circuit boards.
American WaterTech. Smarter water, better water. Call American WaterTech at 649-2301 or email them at info@americanwatertech.com.
Chili's lunch combos for just $10. Start your lunch with your choice of a Bud Light, iced tea, or Coca-Cola. Plus, free bottomless chips with salsa. Then choose a variety of fresh entree options like our savory beef enchiladas, quesadilla explosion salad, or our Cajun chicken pasta. Experience fresh flavors in every bite with Chili's lunch combos for just $10. Available Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. At Chili's, fresh is happening now.
Drug makers may soon risk federal punishment if too much of the opioids they produce end up on the streets.
The U.S. Drug Enforcement Agency will soon demand pharmaceutical companies to limit production of narcotic pills if it helps keep their products out of the hands of at-risk addicts. Attorney General Jeff Sessions speaking in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Then they will be able to reduce the amount of opioids the company can produce and sell. They have the ability to limit the amount, and they're going to be more aggressive in that effort.
Sessions adds the Trump administration hopes to reduce opioid prescriptions by a third over 3 years. Eben Brown, Fox News.
Meantime, dozens of people accused of illegally distributing opioids, including heroin and fentanyl, are being arrested in a multi-state crackdown centered in West Virginia.
Huntington's become ground zero, the epicenter for an opioid crisis that has crushed this country, but also crushed southern West Virginia. And frankly, we're not going to take it anymore. And we've heard from moms and dads who aren't going to take it anymore.
U.S. Attorney Mike Stewart calls the bust one of the largest takedowns in state history. The FDA gives approval to what are essentially contact lens sunglasses.
They're transition contact lenses that automatically get darker in the sun and back to clear out of the sun. It's the same technology used in eyeglasses that do the same thing. The Food and Drug Administration tested the lenses on more than 1,000 patients, including 24 who wore them driving night and day, reporting no problems. They're made by Johnson & Johnson to be sold starting next year as AccuView Oasis with transitions to be worn daily up to 2 weeks, but not while sleeping and with no exposure to water. Chris Foster, Fox News.
Recapping the rally on Wall Street, the Dow up more than 200 points, finishing at 24,786. The NASDAQ up 124. Lisa Brady, Fox News Radio.
Stop by any Circle K today and overload your For Real. It's simple. Pick out your favorite For Real shake, blend it, and then mix and match any 2 toppings for only $1. Overload your For Real with a variety of sweet treats like Oreo cookies, gummy bears, classic M&Ms or peanut M&Ms, and Reese's peanut butter cups. Simply add them to your For Real shake for an overload experience and enjoy. For Real Overload, only available at participating Circle K's. Circle K, take it easy.
For more than 40 years, we've managed our island's most precious resource, your health. Take Care's benefit plans allow members access to more than 120 medical providers, 40 dental providers, and 18 pharmacies in the region. Take Care's health plans ensure members in Palau, Saipan, and Guam receive the care they deserve. Our programs and wellness classes have proven results for our valued members, and our commitment to your health never been stronger. Take Care, our island, your health plan.
Many things on our island need attention. The Gutierrez-Bordallo team understands the importance of addressing problems and finding solutions to all quality of life issues. Gutierrez-Bordallo is committed to marshal all public and private partnerships. They will create positive improvements like rebuilding both Paseo Stadium and Guerrero Baseball Field into first-class venues to reinvigorate Guam's favorite pastime and repurpose the Chamorro Village Festback structures, ensuring they are fully and constantly utilized.
I'm Carl Gutierrez, and I approve this message.
With the largest inventory of rental equipment on Guam, East West Rental Center is sure to have the tool you need to get your job finished quickly. From equipment rental, party rental, parts and service to used equipment, East West Rental Center has what you need. Call East West Rental Center at 646-1463 or visit them online and browse through their online rental catalog at eastwestrental.com. They're located in Upper Tumon, right across St. John's School. East West Rental Center, providing the island of Guam with quality equipment rentals since 1972.
Every time I travel, there's something from home that I can't leave without. I take my Docomo Pacific Data to Go to share my stories in Taiwan, check subway routes in Tokyo, be my food guide in Hong Kong, meet new friends in the Philippines, make updates in the States, find my way around Korea, and check out all the cool shows in Singapore. It's the data I have in all the places I love for only $10 a day. Data to Go from Docomo Pacific. Better together.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 8 minutes past 6 a.m. this Wednesday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Corpses, small boats, and humans are just a few of the ways law enforcement officials suspect drugs are being smuggled undetected into Guam. Guam Customs and Quarantine Director James McDonald yesterday telling lawmakers during a roundtable that smugglers are doing everything they can to find ways to bring drugs into the island, including an increasing number of human drug carriers arriving at the airport smuggling drugs in their body cavities. He said the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration also recently advised Guam Customs to start checking the corpses, the caskets shipped into Guam. Colonel Philip Tyron, meanwhile, said Customs needs more officers to do the job, pointing out how the number of frontline officers has fallen to just 109 from a high of 232 20 years ago. Customs is proposing increases in port, air cargo, and passenger fees to cover the cost of doubling their manpower. In particular, they're asking for an increase in the passenger arrival fee from $8.29 now to $24.53 by 2020. Speaker Benjamin Cruz said he would be fully supportive of increasing passenger fees, saying if visitors have to absorb the cost to protect our community by stopping the drugs at the border, I'm all for it. In a report based on visitor exit surveys, the Guam Visitors Bureau found less than 40% of Japanese tourists were very satisfied with their trip to the island between October 2017 and February of this year. For Korean tourists, the results were even lower. Last December, just 8% of visitors left very satisfied. The report did not include results for any lower levels of satisfaction. Others complained that Gun Beach had inadequate parking and too much garbage, and that getting into the Two Lovers Point observation desk was too pricey. To be sure, the majority of reviews on hotels, restaurant, beaches, and entertainment were positive, but for those whose experience was less than stellar, most complained about the state of their hotel accommodations. We'll have more news after this.
As we journey through the new year, we here at APL continue to find ways to better deliver our island's resources with innovative and cost-effective solutions, lending our helping hands by carrying your freight safely from the U.S. mainland or anywhere in our global network. We humbly honor the opportunities to continue to work and connect with you and your business. We are APL, and we are here for you.
Triple J says yes. Zero down? Yes. 1.9% financing? Yes. Easy trade-in? Yes. No payments for 90 days? Yes. We'll have you saying yes, too, to these amazing deals. Like our big boy truck, the Ford F-150 at only $217 per paycheck. Or the top safety pick Mazda CX-5 Sport at only $194 per paycheck. Or turn heads in the Mazda 3 Sport or the sleek and sophisticated Kia Soul. Both for only $129 per paycheck. Visit us online at triplejguam.com. Some conditions apply. See dealer for details. Triple J, customers first.
11 minutes past 6 a.m. here at The Point. Guam Memorial Hospital may have to self-fund upgrades to its maternity ward after it failed to acquire financial backing. The $9.2 million cost for the ward project was included in the hospital's fiscal year 2019 budget, but last week a request to waive an interim financing requirement was denied by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Guam Economic Development Authority Administrator Jay Rojas said new legislation is needed to pledge funds as collateral for interim financing. Rojas said there are two options. GMH could self-fund the $9.2 million as interim financing and then have USDA refund the amount after the project is done, or GIDA could get interim financing through a third request for proposals. The Guam Solid Waste Authority will conduct an evaluation before imposing any fee increases when they eventually take over operations from the federal receiver. Board Chairman Andrew Gale telling lawmakers yesterday that once GSWA management has been put in place after the receivership, they intend to reevaluate the requirements, including operational expenses, that would be carried out by the Solid Waste Authority to determine what the proper rates would be going forward. Current tipping fee rates were set in 2009. They generate about $18 million in annual revenue. The receivership has been extended until at least June 30th. District Court Judge Francis Tedinko Gatewood, however, has expressed doubts about whether the Solid Waste Authority will be ready to take over by then. She scheduled a hearing for next month to evaluate that readiness. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Ray's got some weather somewhere.
They haven't been given the keys yet, and they're already looking at the rates? You're kidding. This is why. Okay. Let me see. Here's the weather. Partly sunny skies and isolated showers this afternoon. There's more clouds and scattered showers coming in tonight and overnight. Winds out of the east up to 20 miles an hour. Expected daytime highs today, 88 degrees. Heat index around here's got to be adding it to about 99, 100. It's been getting warm in the last few days. Overnight lows of about 77 degrees. Sunset tonight at 6:34. Sunrise tomorrow morning at about 6:05. Sun's been up for about 5 minutes already here today. Is that right? Yeah, something on that order. That's news and weather together brought to you by Bank Pacific. Where others put branches, they place roots.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
Portions of the program brought to you by King's Restaurant, serving Guam favorites to families for over 40 years. King's Restaurant, always open and always local.
For over 55 years, Community First has served our island as a full-service financial institution. And now, we're proud to introduce the new Community First Student-Run Credit Union, open in Mangilao on Route 10. Guam's first student-run financial institution, which means it's operated by college students like us, ready to serve all our members, existing and new. We're just down the road from UOG and GCC. Community First Guam Federal Credit Union, now open in Mangilao. This credit union is federally insured by NCUA.
Gotcha. It's time for a Cold Stone break. Try the new strawberry shortcake and fresh lemon pie ice cream. Mix them with your favorite fruits, nuts, candies, or even golden Oreo cookies. Such a rare treat. How are they rare? Well, the stuff that goes into the making of the golden Oreo cookies actually come from Magellan's Golden Sword. Haven't been seen since 1522. But the people over at Oreo found it and are using it to make golden Oreo cookies. Cold Stone Creamery is at the Guam Premier Outlets and the Micronesia Mall.
Do you carry your lunch to school or work? You can reduce waste simply by using reusable containers instead of plastic bottles and disposable bags. Switch to putting your food in Tupperware and putting your drinks into a thermos or flask.
Catch more Clean and Green Living tips every day and get inspired to make a cleaner, greener effort in your community. Happy Earth Month from the stations of Choice Broadcasting.
Brought to you in part by Body Arts Dance Studio. Body Arts goes to Hollywood with their spring recital on Sunday, May 6th at the Sister Roberta Center, Mercy Heights. Tickets are $10 each. Call 477-6622 for more information.
The Ray Gibson Show. Morning talk that matters. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Where's the page I'm looking for on the internet here? I'll find it. I'll get it. Do you want to pay a sales tax on your internet purchases? That's the online poll at thepoint.go. I'll get to that in just a second. But first, let me welcome you to the program. It is the Ray Gibson Show on The Point 93.3. My name is Ray Gibson. And joined Mike side by Kevin Kerrigan with the headlines from the Guam Daily Post. And I don't know what's the most provocative headline that you've hit me with this morning. I'm not sure if it's the line from the guys over at Customs and that said, check the corpses.
Check the corpses, yeah.
Check the corpses. There's something you don't see every day, and just gotta wake you up. That's better than the shot of coffee this morning. Check the corpses.
You never know what you might find inside.
And so the guys on the GSWA board are saying, hey, don't worry, we'll conduct an evaluation before we raise any of the existing fees for consumers.
They've got to see how much it's going to cost.
Yeah. It already cost $30.
Yeah.
That's a good price.
It's been that way since 2009.
Right. And so we and a lot of that goes to support the successful operations of the system. So is there a requirement now that it go up? Is that
no requirement? But you got to cover your costs.
Sure. Yeah.
And we'll see what those costs are once they take over from the receiver.
Yeah. That's let me just knee jerk now. No increase here. I think it's at $30. I think that is accessible for a lot of people. I think much higher than that. I think because there's no lifeline rates on any of this stuff. There are people that ain't going to pay the $30, and some of them, I know people that do this, that will spirit their trash out of their house and go to a dumpster somewhere in the middle of the night and put it there. Thank goodness they're at least doing that, because there's a whole lot more people that will trash all of the side roads. Some days, yeah. And sometimes it's the boonies on the way to great vistas and lookouts like Two Lovers Point. There are places in there that just consistently get trashed. Heck, we talked with, you guys did a cleanup not that long ago, right?
Well, we helped out GTA with a cleanup that they sponsored down at Tengiz.
So has anybody been back there? Because my understanding from talking to Peggy Denny the other day is that it has recently been trashed, cleaned up, and trashed again. And it's not just from people that are going down there that are having a barbecue and goofing off and not cleaning up after themselves. I think there are people that look at that as
household waste.
That's the dump now. That'll save me $30. So we got to be very, very careful. In my mind, we got to be careful how we proceed in some of that. But thanks for helping the environment, Kevin, and everybody over at the Guam Daily Post. It's 6:19, and there's a couple of other things that are in my head, but as usual, I've captivated by the shiny. I said hello to Kevin. Didn't say hello to Mike. Good morning, Mike. How you doing there? What you watching on the weather? You watching anything cool on the weather?
We got a little something coming in tonight. Should lift up our chances for rain. Notice the forecast change. Isolated showers this afternoon.
Well,
changing to scattered.
Oh, I don't have the weather gizmo up. I was gonna put the weather screen up there. So
they're worried about. I got to get my radar here because I have a radar in my pocket.
Yeah,
of course I would have one. So. And there was.
See, I thought I was the king of the geeks. I'm realizing now that there's a geeky thing that I don't know about. You have radar in your pocket on your phone. Oh, I need that. Okay.
So actually, a few showers going to be moving through on the drive this morning. So just prepare for that and drive safely out there, friends.
All right, we'll keep an eye on the weather here and keep an eye on the traffic maps. I was looking at something earlier that was snagging traffic up around Pizza Hut up in Dedido, but it looks like that has dissipated. In fact, I don't see any major traffic issues on the roadways right now. So great way to start the morning.
It was a lingering smell of late night pizza.
Was it? It makes your car go slow. Hey. They're already cooking pizza here today. This is good. Actually, had some pizza with the family last night. It was a delight for everybody. Yeah, I don't know what it was. Yesterday I just had several opportunities to do some eating. You might recall I got word from Uncle Carl and Auntie Jerry that there was going to be a barbecue across from GCIC, and so I figured, you know what? I don't very often get an invitation to go to a weekday barbecue at across from GCIC building in downtown Hagåtña, and so I thought I'm going to go and check this thing. I'm going to go and take a look and see what's going on here and find out. And so I get there and there's no Carl. There's no Auntie Jerry. Didn't see either of them. Cousin Fred is there, and there must have been, 1,000 other people that were noshing on hot dogs and hamburgers at this thing. And I thought, wait a second, this is not a family barbecue. This is like a political rally. Wait a second. Did I get suckered into attending a political rally? Yeah, I guess I did, and that's okay. Disclosure time, Fred Bordallo is my cousin. We got the same great-grandfather and my mother's godson. That makes him my godbrother. So I got to go down there and almond and shake hands and do all of that stuff anyway. But I did stop by, had my hot dog, had my hamburger, and a glass of water, and called it a day. But it sounded like the reason why they had that, I guess, was because Carl and cousin Fred were dropping off their paperwork over at the Guam Election Commission, along with, I understand, Frank and Alicia. But Frank and Alicia did not have a barbecue across the street from the GCIC building that I am aware of. Maybe there was a morning shift or a late night shift or something, but I missed out on that. Congratulations to everybody that has gotten your name in there at this point. I think it's a big deal and interesting where we go. Now Kevin had asked when I got in, he says, do we have a rant today? Is there a rant? And I'm not sure if there's anything that qualifies as rant worthy today. There's a couple of things that are interesting.
I got an idea for you.
You got a rant worthy idea?
What's your notion of the separation of church and state?
That's
how I'm going to start this rant of yours.
Okay, well, go ahead.
Then I'll tell you where it goes.
But you can't just do that. You got to give me a little bit more of a clue. It's
how do you feel about the separation of church and state? That's pretty much a kind of a needed thing, right?
With who? I don't know. As far as I know, it's the old rule that, you know what, if as long as there are tests, there will be prayer in school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you seen the window stickers for the Rodriguez Cruz campaign?
No, I have not.
Yeah?
No.
Yeah.
Do you have a picture?
I don't have a picture, but there's a cross in it.
Yeah.
A big red cross.
Maybe it's a plus sign.
No.
I don't know.
No, I looked at it myself and I thought, yeah, maybe it's a plus, but no,
I don't know.
There's definitely that 2/3, 1/3 thing going on.
I don't know. I don't necessarily have a problem with it. If it was a sickle or something, I don't know. For me, it doesn't make that much difference. And to the degree that there is proselytizing at some point in the schools or wherever, I don't know. I don't necessarily have a problem with people that are aggressively displaying their faith, their love for whoever it is that they're calling their God, and that might be more attractive to some voters out there.
Yeah.
And according to the polls I've seen, Dennis could use all the help he can get from God. So,
you let that one slip in there.
Hello, is this microphone on? I'm sorry, I didn't realize the mics were cooking today. 6:24 in the morning. So
listeners think I set you up for that.
As I said. Oh no, I can go any direction you want me to go. That's no problem. That's easy. All right, 6:24. So one of the things that I'm looking for this morning, and it came from a conversation that we had yesterday with Senator Mike Sinicolas, looking for a job as somebody in Washington D.C., our representative out there. And one of the things that we were talking about is a new measure that he introduced yesterday that would strike out the possibility of an internet sales tax. And there are going to be people on both sides of this, because there are folks. You talk to a lot of vendors around here, and they don't like the idea that there is a lot of competition on the other side of a computer keyboard, and people are doing their shopping online instead of in their brick and mortar stores. Get it? Completely understand. The other side of it is you got the government of Guam that is always fishing around looking for the next big cache of dough that they might be exactly. The government of Guam and saying we need some money around here, and if there is a way for us to capture some additional revenue, i.e., internet taxes, let's take it. And then you got us. Then I think you got everybody else that says, dude, it's tough enough already. You're crazy. You're going to put another roadblock. This is going to be, what's the word I'm looking for? This is going to be disruptive to the process. There's a lot of people around here, and I'm one of them. I don't generally go straight to the internet when I need to buy something. If I need some electronics, I know some of the guys that I need to talk to around here. If I need some parts and some tools for the car or project I'm working on at the house, I know where Benson is. I know where Home Depot is. I know where the Guam Hardwood place is, and I generally will lurk around there and see what they've got. If their selection is good, if their prices are right, I'll buy local. That's my thing. But if I can't find what I want, or if I want an updated version of it, or if I want a different, I'd like a choice on price, then I will generally go and tap, tap, tap on the keyboard and see what the world looks like. And oftentimes we'll pay a premium. It's not necessarily always cheaper for me to go and buy on the internet because they don't have a great deal with anybody that does any kind of shipping around here. And that means that because we're in a different customs zone, there's additional paperwork, postage, handling fees. And how many times have you gotten to the part where you're going to buy a $20 widget from Amazon or a $20 widget from Fry's or whoever, and then you get past the hurdle of will they ship to Guam? Oh, okay, yes, they will ship to Guam. How much is the postage and handling for this $20 widget? $40 is the postage and handling for this ridiculous widget, and then you start the process all over again with somebody else. So there are certain penalties that are already in line for the consumers. So between the $20 purchase plus the $40, it turns into a $60 deal. And are we going to get an internet sales tax on the $60 on the postage and the handling and the price of the goods?
I don't know why anybody's worried about the internet sales tax, because it'll never happen without agreement from the Amazons of the world, and they have to put Guam on their drop-down menus.
Which for Amazon might not necessarily be a problem. They'll ship the thing to Guam and they'll charge the additional shipping.
But somebody's got to call them up and contact them and make them do that, and that's months.
Well, it's Gita. Somebody over at Gita can do that, and so you bring up a good point. So there are obviously hurdles that we're going to need to get through, and there's steps that have to be taken. And the question that I have is, how much revenue do we anticipate from this sales internet tax, or this internet sales tax that might be being proposed? Among some, how much are we talking about? Is it worth the disruptive nature of this? Is it worth the guys over at Amazon having to say, yeah, we'll get around to it. In the meantime, since you guys have got the sales tax and we're not set up for it, we're just not going to ship anything to you until we get all of this. All of the smaller guys, all of the smaller players might just say, nah, too much hassle, and be done with it. As I said, is it worth? Is whatever we're going to be bringing in going to be worth it? And the question, the answer to the question is nobody knows. I haven't talked to anybody. I talked to Marie Benito about it yesterday for a little bit from the Department of Rev and Tax. I said, anybody got any ideas? Anybody got any guesses on what this could be? And she said, no, I'll get back to you on that. Thanks, Prima. Appreciate it. You and John get together on it. I don't know that Gary Hiles, chief economist in the government of Guam, has done any number crunching on it. I've been trying to get a hold of Les Carlson for at least since yesterday to see if maybe somebody over at the governor's office and the Department of Administration, the Bond brother guys, might have some sense of what it is that we might what that leakage looks like. Because at this point, that's how we identify it, right? Is we'll say it's leakage, it's money. We're not collecting. How much money is that? And if it's in the tens and 20s and 30s of millions of dollars that we ought to be able to collect from this stuff, well, maybe it's worth the disruption. Maybe it's worth putting together the Rapid Response Task Force over at Gita to call everybody in the World Wide Web and say there's a sales tax on Guam, and if you put together even a virtual presence on Guam, you'll be able to collect that tax force, and we'll be able to collect some of those millions of dollars. It might be worth it then. But if we're just talking about a couple of $1 million here and there, might not be worth the time, trouble, and expense, and the disruption to the commerce that exists now. And maybe use whatever money that we are able to get in from one or two people to be able to support more of these buy local campaigns that we can do. Hey, we're big on that. Got one of those campaigns going on here at Choice Broadcasting as well. So that's among the things that are in my head. Not much of a rant there, but as I said, there might be a few things as the program develops that turn into something rant-worthy. If you've got something that you think might be worth getting a little hot and bothered about, getting a little white in the knuckles, 888-8255. That's 888-8255. Failing that, you think there's anything else going on in the community that you think people need to know about, good, bad, indifferent, whatever, use the telephone and get a hold of me and let me know what your thoughts are on a Wednesday market kind of morning. 6:30, and that's time for headlines from the Guam Daily Post. There's Kevin Kerrigan.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 31 minutes past 6 a.m. And the headlines from the Guam Daily Post this morning. The Executive Secretary of the Guam Land Use Commission said no laws were violated when the body approved a variance for a 21-story hotel in Tumon last week, despite the claim by a prominent attorney and planning council member that 2 zoning statutes had been broken. At a meeting of the hybrid Guam Land Use Commission last Thursday, the GLUC approved height and density variances for a hotel that Blue Ocean Development wants to build off Happy Landing Road between Tumon Sands Plaza and the Grand Plaza Hotel. Attorney John Thomas Brown, a member of the Tamuning Municipal Planning Council, said he believes the GLUC violated the zoning laws by approving those height and density variances. GLUC has no reason to exist except but to override what is allowed by law, Brown said, and they disregard the law. There was no violation, countered Michael Borja, GLUC Executive Secretary. He said that if that is Brown's opinion, the process now is for him to take it to court. It took a little more than 10 minutes yesterday for Guam Academy Charter Schools Council to meet without the public auditor or the chief auditor of the Guam Department of Education to guide them through allotment requests for Guahan Academy Charter School. Work sessions have been scheduled with GACS as its charter nears expiration. Council Chairwoman Amanda Blas said that there may be another meeting scheduled with the auditors. Next work session is scheduled for next week, Thursday. One of the topics expected to be discussed is GAC's transition plan into next school year. The school is facing eviction from its current secondary school campus in Tidzin by summer because of lagging payments. A former police officer's wife who admitted to selling drugs out of their Chalanpago home was allowed modified house arrest to help her find a home and a job while on pretrial release. Superior Court Judge Anita Sokola yesterday granting the request to defendant Renee Perez, who told the court that she's getting a divorce and no longer living with her husband. She has applied for housing on her own and would like time to gather the additional documents needed to secure a home, and she's still waiting on the prosecution to see if there will be a plea deal in her case. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
iConnect time in the studio is 6:33. Connect longer for less with iConnect's push-to-talk mobile and internet plans.
When the power goes out on Guam, the little things can become surprisingly big. Small comforts are often the things we miss most during a power outage. That is why Kohler built the fastest responding generator sets in the industry. Whether you are at home or away, a residential Kohler generator will enable you and your family to live life without interruption. Kohler gas, LPG, and diesel power systems are available from Morrico Equipment, LLC on EPAL Road. Call 649-1946. That's 649-1946. Don't forget to click on to MorricoEquipment.com.
I got your traffic right now. Traffic here on the point. As I said earlier, there doesn't look like there's anything that is happening. What was going on in front of League One, it looks like that's all taken care of. So southbound traffic, Marine Corps Drive, is beginning to build up in the Dededo region at the intersection between Route 1 and Route 3. You'll see some buildup southbound, northbound as well. Still nothing coming in on Route 3. What's happening down here in the upper Tumon area? Looks like we're starting to see traffic beginning to build down here as well. Doesn't look like there's anything that's going to slow you down just yet. It's still early. I'll keep an eye on the traffic gizmos and get back to you on them as the broadcast continues. That's right now, traffic on the point.
Hafade, my name is James Moylan, and I'm running for a seat as your senator. The people of Guam expect more from their leaders, and I intend on delivering. If given the opportunity, I will bring my experiences in the military, public, and private sectors. I understand that during challenging times, tough decisions and an open mind are needed. Your tax dollars also need to be spent wisely. If you expect more from your elected officials and expect them to think outside of the box, then I humbly ask for your support this November. Thank you.
Paid for by the committee to elect James Camacho Moylan for Senator, Carlos Camacho, Treasurer.
GTA's best internet deal has arrived. With fiber internet, you get up to 50 megabits of data per second for only $50 per month. And if that's not enough, Fiber Internet 50 plan includes free Wi-Fi. But this offer will only last through the month of April. So sign up today and get ready for faster downloads, more streaming, a better gaming experience, and a stable connection across multiple devices. Conditions may apply. Visit GTA.net for more details. GTA, your island, your network.
Morning talk that matters. The Ray Gibson Show. Any speaker, anytime. Call now. 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
That's one way to do it. Check us out at Facebook Live on your Facebook phone and application or desktop or whichever. Jay Rojas, understand Off Island is tuned into the program that way. Hey, nice to talk to you, Jay. Ed Uggan saying, Ray, are you on the radio station? Yes, we are broadcasting on 93.3, but it's multimedia here, babe. So we got the radio, we've got the HD thing going on, we've got the Facebook, we got the point.gu. So many different ways to do it. Beck Salazar is there. Ted Fernandez is strolling around. Roy Burgess, good morning. Cousin Tommy Barcina. Sean Gumatauta says, save the rant for a talk with Rod Jacob from the Guam Bar Association next week. Law Week is coming up, and maybe the separation of powers and the separation of church and state can be part of that conversation. We'll always have Paris. She is on this morning. Let me see. Annette and Pinko Ada. There's James Howard. Nick Perlowski asking about or making this reference, backing up what I'm saying. If they're talking about raising tipping fees, then they better get ready to go out and catch the illegal dumpers. Hey, good luck on that. Tell you what, they have the capability of catching illegal dumpers now. And the mayors can go out there, open the bags of trash, go in and look at it and say, oh, it's got Gibson's name on it. There's his phone bill. There's, junk mail or whatever, and cite me. But they don't have citation booklets. They don't have the mechanism set up. So we really do honestly need to work on that. Frankie Gutierrez, Brad is on. There's David Evans. Like that song, buddy. Still sounds good. Jim Tillman, good morning. Saying good morning to Valerie. Did you say good morning to Kevin and I? Yes, he did. Okay. Said good morning to Ray and Kevin and Mike in there. Danielle is on. Ken is on. Dennis is on. And who else is on? Bob Klitsky is on this morning, but he's on the actual phone. He's using the old school method of communicating with the radio station by actually dialing in. Good morning, Senator.
Good morning, Ray. I thought we might chat just for a moment about internet sales and sales tax.
I'd love to.
Well, the discussion is actually slightly premature because a case called South Dakota versus Wayfair will be argued before the Supreme Court today.
I understand. However, there was a concern with the legislation that had passed that increased the BPT and the sales tax that it felt like, at least to Mike Nicholas and others, that it would open the door and lead the way towards an internet sales tax. And so Senator Mike has introduced legislation yesterday to head that off at the pass. But my question is that something that we really want to do? I mean, is it possible, and I don't know the answer, and I don't know anybody that does know the answer, is it possible that we're talking about increased tax revenues for the government of Guam and fellow taxpayers in the several millions of dollars, or is this going to be a drop in the bucket? If it's going to be a drop in the bucket, it might be too disruptive to be able to move forward with any kind of legislation allowing for an internet sales tax. Just leave it status quo. But if it's a lot of money, might be worth time and trouble and expense and the disruptive nature of it to line the government of Guam up with some dough. I'm looking to guys like you to guide the conversation on that.
Well, there's one more legal point that I think is somewhat important, and that is that the case before the Supreme Court right now, South Dakota Wayfair, is the second sales tax case that the Supreme Court has agreed to hear this year. Mm-hmm. The rule has been for a long, long time that you can only tax businesses that had a physical presence in your state. But the South Dakota case, South Dakota attempted to tax internet sales, and the South Dakota Supreme Court upheld the tax. It was appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court, and as we talk right now, it is not legal for a state to impose its sales tax on businesses that do not have a physical presence within the boundaries of that particular state. But here's an interesting wrinkle. Mm-hmm. That rule is a creature of the Interstate Commerce Clause, giving Congress the ability to regulate interstate commerce. The Interstate Commerce Clause does not apply to Guam.
We're not a state.
We're not a state. It doesn't apply. It's one of the, and I know this is a tough one for a few people to swallow. It's one of the advantages of being an unincorporated territory, that all of these federal regulations don't apply to us. So I think one could make the case that if San Nicolas bill passes, that the territory would have the ability to impose a sales tax on internet sales. Collecting it would be somewhat difficult since the sellers would, in the case of Amazon, would be a will-o'-the-wisp to attempt to send a Guam revenue agent after to collect that particular tax. Another complexity is this, that although we would have only a single sales tax on internet sales, in many of the states, counties have the ability to impose a sales tax, cities have the ability to impose a sales tax, and of course states do. So one of the arguments against the South Dakota position is that it would impose an impermissible quilt of different tax regulations on various internet sellers, benefiting only the really big ones. For instance, Amazon.
Right.
So taking all that into consideration, when you consider that Amazon, I think, has a gross national product larger, or as it were, gross revenue larger than the gross national product than about 60% of the countries in the world, I just wonder if it would be worth their while to get involved with sales in such a relatively small volume of sales here. And my suspicion is the answer to that would be no, because we've had a really difficult time getting on everyone's radar up to now,
right,
when there were no impediments to making sales on Guam.
Now that you add this, they might just say, we're taking Guam off the list, period.
Yeah, it's just not worth our while. We used to buy from a place called the Cheese Man in Monroe, Wisconsin. Some sentimental value there.
I was going to say, cheese, Wisconsin. I've never heard of that combination.
Yeah. So I'm a cheesehead myself, but we used to order for that. And then the last time my wife tried to order, they wrote back and said, we're not selling to Guam anymore. Now, I don't know if what the reason for that was, or it's my suspicious nature that they just decided that they could make more money using their productive capacity to sell in nearer markets.
That is probably the case. It's either nearer markets or people that you didn't have to do too much extra work for. I do some business, and sometimes with the big companies, it's not that big of a deal for them to go out of their way and fill out the additional customs forms. And in some cases, smaller companies, little boutique shops, embroideries, and things like that, they're going, it's just too much trouble. You're way inside the margin already, and now we've got to have somebody take another 5 or 10 minutes to fill out forms. It's just not worth it for us to do business with you. And in those cases, I say, can you send it to my father in North Carolina? And I'd be happy to. Yes, we'd love to send this to North Carolina. And then Pop will have to go and jump through the hoops over at his post office. So we usually let the boxes pile up there. And there's always one of us that is going out to North Carolina to go see the old man. So the rule is whoever gets to North Carolina gets to carry back all the mail that's been stockpiled in the living room.
Now, there's another Mike San Nicolas dimension to this. Other than Mike has introduced, I think this makes a half dozen different bills that he's introduced that actually would have, if they became law, an impact on our territorial federal lash-up. And if this bill passed, then a forward-thinking congressman might introduce legislation that would interdict the necessity for filing customs declarations to send almost anything from the mainland to a territory. Now, I could understand it for some things, but cheese, that just doesn't seem
something to be embargoed. We'll see where this goes, Senator. Today there's going to be a committee on rules meeting and figure out what's going to be going on the April 2018 session agenda. This is going to be a good spot and a good place for a bunch of people to start beating on their chest, if you know what I mean.
I do.
All right. I'll see you pretty soon.
Thank you, Ray.
All right. Kiss from Auntie Lulu. I appreciate that. Becky North on the line. Good morning, Beck. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing well, and you?
Not bad. So what's the last thing that you ordered online?
Well, the IPVO.
Oh, that you ordered that yourself?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so how much trouble was it to get the IPVO here?
None at all.
They didn't say that it was going to cost you extra because you live on Guam? You live way out there in the fringes of democracy of the Republic?
No, and I was surprised because a lot of times with electronics, they refuse to send to Guam.
I've had that case as well, and then you say, "Who's your manager? I'd like to talk to whoever it is that's making decisions on why you cannot send an electronics to Guam."
I mean, when I ordered, it's a couple of years ago, but when I ordered my Kindle, I had to send it to a friend who happened to be coming out, and da-da-da.
Yeah. We all have to jump through those hoops for the most bizarre reasons. And they say, well, it's because we don't want the Chinese to get their hands on our technology. And I'm telling them, the Chinese made it. They're the ones that assembled this. There's a factory in Guangdao where they put these things together. What do you mean you don't want them to have access to the technology? Who do you think melted the chips?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, and the Kindle, it's very, security issue. I don't know. So,
did you get one of those Alexas yet? Alexa, turn on The Point with Ray Gibson. I want to see if that works at everybody's house.
My brother has one because that actually was my nephew was working on that project.
Oh, really?
Alexa project, yes. So he works for Amazon.
So your brother that won the Boston Marathon, that ran the Boston Marathon?
No, the other brother.
Okay. Because Beck sent me a picture of she's got a brother that's also a runner. I met him a few years back. Nice fella. And he had endured maybe the weirdest weather ever for a Boston Marathon.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right, so quiz night, Friday night, I'm all ready for it. We're going to have a groovy night. We've got a groovy theme that's going to be lined up for everybody. And so if you have not yet got your teams together, hurry up. You're running out of time. And we have, in years past, run out of space at quiz night. We keep looking for bigger venues. One of these days, we're going to need to move it to the Deucet because we get hundreds and hundreds of people.
Yeah. Well, and we are going to be at the Sheraton this year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Habitat for Humanity Quiz Night, so team event quiz night. And people want to get ready and come on down. They need to call us at 565-6480, 647-4667, or email us at habitatqn@gmail.com. I'll also tell people you can get your tickets at Remax Realty in Upper Tumon, if you need to.
Isn't that the one that's right next to us? It's right next door, isn't it?
Works up there.
Yeah.
And if you are calling, make sure calling the office or my house, make sure you leave a message and we'll get back to you. We don't exactly have a big staff, so we only have part-time office hours. So give us a call. We'll hopefully be there from about 4 to 6:30 tonight for sure, because I have to be there cataloging the prizes. So if that's the time you need to come by and pick up your tickets, know that we'll be there. If the door is locked downstairs, call us, because sometimes the other people in the building lock the door.
Yeah, that'll happen. All right, listen, appreciate the telephone call. We'll give that number a couple more times before the end of the day and see if we can drive some more ticket sales for quiz night happening Friday night over at the Sheraton. I'll talk to you soon, Beck. Go to school.
Thanks.
Go educate those kids, would you?
It's testing, standardized testing. Woo!
Oh, is that what we're doing today?
At my school, yeah. It's a longer test window, so different schools have time to change up their testing hours to match their school schedule. So we've started with our young ones.
Now, this is not the SAT anymore. We're using a different vendor, right?
We have two standardized tests. The standards-based assessment, which is a locally created test, and the other one is the ACT-Aspire. And right now, for our school, we're working on the SBA test, and a little bit later, we'll start the ACT-Aspire test for the older kids.
Oh, man.
Woohoo!
I only remember having one or two. Yeah, I don't remember having quite that many tests when I was a kid growing up. All right, good luck with that. I'll see you pretty soon, Becky. You and your IPVO thing, and congratulations. Welcome to the program. Excuse the mess. New caller, Anna. Good morning.
Hello.
Hello. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
So call screener says that I'm short a rant today, but you've got one.
Yeah, so I was just calling. I wanted to know and kind of rant around a little bit about the returning Chamorro or Guamanian to the island into the workforce and discrimination against the returning.
Hold up now. Let me see if I understand the premise here. So you got somebody Chamorro but raised in the United States mainland.
Yeah, I mean, born and raised here, but left at a really young age, and then having come back,
right?
And always being segregated, almost targeted, and a lot of you hear a lot of the things. Well, this is how we do it on Guam, and just because you're from the States doesn't mean you know everything. Or people from the States who kind of go back and then come back again. They really come back with this attitude like they know everything and they want to change everything here.
So wait, which side of that are you on? You're the one that went away and then came back, and now everybody goes, hey, oh, look, scholar. Oh, there's the professor, know-it-all. She knows everything because she went to the state side, and she's going to come back and teach the rest of us how to do things. So they kind of push you out?
Yes, absolutely. I'm on that side.
Yeesh. Yeesh. When did you notice that this was going to be a thing?
Well, I mean, when I barely come back, I specifically I had to be separated out. I had worked for another company, and I had to be separated out. And one of the major things that was told to me was, we can use your skills and things like this, but what we have to get is for you to get along with, all of the locals. In my mind, right?
Wait, I am a local. What do you mean?
Yeah, I am local. And what is this? This is discrimination.
And so so the supervisors actually segregated you. They made a distinction between. This is amazing. So they made a distinction between what in my family we'd call Aston Chamorro, and the down home ones, the ones from the village, huh?
Yep, absolutely.
What did you did you talk to them slower? People hate that around here. When you speak to them slowly, they hate that because they feel like they're being talked down. You didn't do that, right?
No, as a matter of fact, I'm often charged with speaking too fast.
So did you complain about it to your supervisor? Did you say, "Wait, this isn't right. This is like discrimination"?
Yeah, of course. But, the answer is always, well, this is the way that we do things on Guam. It's the Guam way. It's the Guam way. So it's like, if you have ideas, right? I mean, here's the thing, right? We talk about workforce development, economic development, and people development. We want to raise the people up who are competent and capable, and then we have people who go out, they see the world, they learn things, they come back with new ideas and things like that. And instead of us partnering together as a community, what's happening is we're segregating those people out, and we're putting them down for having ideas.
Just because they went away and learned a thing or two about the way things work someplace else, try to bring that back, and because it's not the way we've done it for the last 50 years since Magellan, then there's no value to it. So now, were you alone in this? Are you the only one in the shop that had gone away and come back?
No, definitely not. But here's the thing. Here's another thing I noticed. People that I tend to end up getting along with, or have befriended me, and I keep as friends, end up being people who have also left and come back, and we share the same views, and we often wonder, like, what is the reason for this? Why are we not accepted back into our community wholly? I've actually even spoke to family members at barbecues and parties and spoke about that, like, what's going on, and literally even my family members will tell me, because everyone who goes to the States comes back and they think that they know everything and they want to change everything, and they act like they know it all, and like these are the responses, and I don't get it. It's a really closed-minded way of thinking, and it just it's disgruntling. It's difficult, and I find it hard to move forward, and just not kind of giving. I'm beginning to think that there's the protected class, right, of discrimination, and there's employment law. There's a protected class that says we cannot discriminate against someone's gender, race, or religion, etc. Right? I'm beginning to think that the people who come from the States back here to Guam, we can almost classify these people and pinpoint specific things done to them that could fall under discrimination.
Unbelievable. So I don't know about a protected class. I hear what you're saying. I don't know that we're going to have marches and things like that, or get-togethers over at the legislature to help resolve this issue. But it is interesting. It is interesting that kind of thing might be happening. I don't know it because I've never really been off island. I lived in Hawaii for a little bit in my college years, and then came back because, as far as I'm concerned, Hawaii is one of the most uptight places in the world, and it was confining for me. So I never really had the desire to live anywhere else. But is it just people that have gone to live other places? I mean, do you get a break if you were in the military? Do you get a break if you were, I don't know, in college and came back? Or is it, people that went? Because back in 2000, 2001, I don't know if you know this, Anna, there were a lot of people that left Guam because the economy stank. It was just really bad. They crumbled in Asia, and property values went down, and costs went up, and there were a lot of people that left Guam, and many of them came back. I wonder if they felt the same thing. It's different than going for military service. I think it's different than going for college, even different for getting being put incarcerated in the States, right? But maybe you get a break for that. But if you left and worked somewhere, developed a career, lined up a family, and then came back to Guam, that seems to you to be the grounds of the basis of that kind of discrimination, right?
I notice a difference. And it makes life extremely difficult. Wow. It makes work extremely difficult, and getting forward, moving forward, or being acknowledged, even acknowledged for the things that the work that you put forward. It's not the same.
Did you get a Guam Seal necklace? I'm trying to help here. Maybe a Guam Seal necklace. Go to what's the name of the place in Marine Drive? The jewelry store there, and get yourself some 7-day bracelets.
That's what I was thinking.
and find out what that perfume is that everybody wears, and just pour that stuff on. Maybe that'll help you ingratiate yourself with everybody else. Ray Gibson Show at gmail.com. If you want to comment on what it is that Anna's talking about, maybe you are feeling exactly the same way, and maybe you have been exposed to that same kind of odd discrimination from even among people that you might be related to, just because you went away and come back. 888-8255 is the telephone number. Anna, thanks so much for the time. You have a terrific Wednesday morning, all right?
All right, you as well.
All right, groovy. What an interesting concept for a rant. I'm sorry I left. I came back, and now nobody wants to hang out with me because I'm smarter than them. Yeah, is that what she said? We're KUSG. I got Fox News Live coming up here in, 25 seconds or something like that. On the other side, Kevin Kerrigan with a look at all the big stories that we're going to be talking about. Something you want to rant on? It's 888-8255. I'll be checking on what the guys are talking about on Facebook Live. We can chat with each other on that one as well. Here it comes, the Fox News Live.
Live from New York, the Fox Report.
I'm Lisa Brady. This hasn't happened in 5 years. A fatality on a commercial flight on U.S. soil. And it's not a crash. The jet made a safe emergency landing in Philadelphia. Fox's Gernal Scott with more live.
Lisa, the National Transportation Safety Board is digging into this incident that left one dead and several hurt after an engine broke apart. While NTSB Chair Robert Sumwald says it's too early to pinpoint a cause, the equipment at the heart of the problem should give some answers.
The engine will be ultimately shipped off-site
where we can do a detailed examination, tear down of the engine.
144 passengers, 5 crew members were on board the New York to Dallas flight. Zumwalt says the cockpit recorders have been recovered and are headed to D.C. for analysis, Lisa.
Thanks, Gernal. Southwest Airlines calling it a tragedy. Trade and national security, 2 issues topping the agenda for President Trump and Japan's leader meeting in Florida. But so is talk about a very old conflict. Fox's John Decker, live at the White House.
The president said that the U.S. has started to engage at very high levels with North Korea ahead of a much-anticipated meeting between the president and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un.
We have not picked a site yet, but we picked 5 sites where it's potentially going to be. We'll let you know fairly soon.
South Korean President Moon Jae-in and Kim are set to hold a summit on April 27th, a summit the president says has his blessing, including talks to officially end the Korean War. President Trump said his meeting with Kim will likely take place in early June. Lisa?
Thanks, John. Fighting in Korea ending with an armistice instead of a peace treaty in 1953. Back-to-back rallies on Wall Street, the Dow up 213, topping 24,700. On the Fox Report, fair and balanced.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
Why pay for paper? Go paperless for $3 less. Move into e-billing and reduce your carbon footprint while enjoying an easier, faster, and more secure way to receive and view your bills. No more paper clutter or waiting for the mail. Go green and sign up today by checking out DocomoPacific.com or calling 688-CARE. Why pay for paper? Go paperless for $3 less. Docomo Pacific, better together.
And the Ad Council.
Friday's missile strike against the Syrian regime adds more fuel to a familiar debate on Capitol Hill, where Defense Chief James Mattis and the Joint Chiefs Chairman General Joseph Dunford have been giving classified, closed-door briefings today. Fox's Jared Halpern is live on the Hill.
Every member of Congress will hear from top military leaders about the weekend airstrikes targeting Syrian chemical weapons targets.
My personal opinion is that this was within the president's authority.
House Armed Services Committee Chairman Republican Mac Thornberry describes the strikes as similar to action taken by previous administrations, but says a sustained military commitment would require congressional approval. Committee Democrat John Garamendi was not sold on the justification.
Bombing a country is an act of war, and only the Congress has the authority.
A Senate panel is expected to consider a new resolution authorizing military force against terror groups next week. Lisa.
Meantime, Jared, international inspectors have reportedly reached the Syrian town believed to have been hit by chemical weapons over a week ago, expected to be allowed to do inspections in Duma tomorrow. You can hear more about this in our podcast, the Fox News Rundown, tomorrow morning at foxnewsradio.com. Starbucks makes a move after the weekend arrest of 2 black men that prompted protests and calls for a boycott. The company says all of its U.S. stores, more than 8,000, will shut down for several hours on May 29th for racial sensitivity training. Police were called to a Philadelphia Starbucks after the men sat down and asked to use the restroom without buying anything.
Philadelphia Police, Officer 363, how may I help you? Hi, I have 2 gentlemen at my cafe that are refusing to make a purchase or leave.
The company says that employee no longer works at the store, also confirming CEO Kevin Johnson met with the 2 men yesterday to personally apologize. In New York, I'm Lisa Brady on Fox News Radio.
Are you waiting too long for a home loan decision? Are you looking for a bank that understands your needs and can close your loan quickly at today's super low rates? Then come no further than Bank Pacific. Our home loan specialists are friends and neighbors from your community, and our decisions are made right here in Hagåtña. Bank Pacific, where we're open to closing your loan in a hurry.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
If Equal housing lender. Credit conditions apply. Be the Bank Pacific.
With the largest inventory of rental equipment on Guam, East West Rental Center is sure to have the tool you need to get your job finished quickly. From equipment rental, party rental, parts and service to used equipment, East West Rental Center has what you need. Call East West Rental Center at 646-1463 or visit them online and browse through their online rental catalog at eastwestrental.com. They're located in Upper Tumon, right across St. John's School. East West Rental Center, providing the island of Guam with quality equipment rentals since 1972.
Relax, enjoy, and be greeted by the spectacular view of Hagåtña Bay when you visit the point at the Sheraton Laguna Guam. Gaze into the beautiful sunset as you unwind to the music of Philip Garcia and Natasha on Wednesdays, Mama Shar and Nina on Thursdays, Philip Garcia and Louise Munia on Fridays, and Jack Larimer on Saturdays. Open daily from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. Happy hour from 5 to 8 p.m. with all cocktail drinks for $7. Receive a discount when you present your SPG card. Call Peter Yaban at 646-2222 for reservations at the point at the Sheraton Laguna Guam Resort.
This time, let's hear it from the first KFC female colonel.
Smoky Mountain Barbecue, fried chicken so crispy and sweet. That crispy fried chicken. All right, stop, I can't do this. I thought if I dressed up like a country music legend, it would help KFC sell my delicious new Smoky Mountain Barbecue.
KFC, it's finger licking good.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,500 by calling Family Finance in Hagåtña at 475-4545, Upper Tuon 647-5626, or in Dededo 633-4473. Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 8 minutes past 7 a.m. this Wednesday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Guam Memorial Hospital may have to self-fund upgrades to its maternity ward after failing to acquire financial backing. The $9.2 million cost for the maternity ward project was included in the hospital's fiscal 2019 budget, but last week a request to waive an interim financing requirement was denied by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Guam Economic Development Authority Administrator Jay Rojas said that new legislation is needed to pledge funds as collateral for interim financing for the project. He said there are two options. GMH could self-fund the $9.2 million itself and then have USDA refund the amount after the project is done, or GIDA could get interim financing through a third request for proposal. Guam Customs and Quarantine Director James McDonald telling lawmakers yesterday during a roundtable that smugglers are doing everything they can to find ways to bring drugs into Guam, including an increasing number of human drug carriers arriving at the airport smuggling drugs in their body cavities. Said the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration recently advised Guam Customs to even start checking the corpses, the caskets that are coming into the island. Colonel Philip Tyron said Customs needs more officers to do the job, pointing out how the number of frontline officers doing inspections has fallen to just 109 from a high of 232 20 years ago. Customs is proposing tripling the passenger service fee for arriving visitors in order to hire more officers to help stem the flow of illegal drugs. The agency wants to increase the fee from $8.29 now to $24.53 by 2020, adding more than $16 to the ticket cost for arriving passengers. Speaker Benjamin Cruz said he would be fully supportive of increasing passenger fees, saying, if visitors have to absorb the cost to protect our community by stopping the drugs at the border, I'm all for it, he said. More news after this.
Yes, money is something we should talk about and plan for and use to make life better. It's how we make our giant leap from where we are to where we want to be. So let's talk together and work together to check off shiny new kitchens, fully nested dorm rooms, and bucket lists with more countries than our passports can hold. Let's check them all off together. First Hawaiian Bank. It all starts with yes. Member FDIC.
GTA's best internet deal has arrived. With fiber internet, you get up to 50 megabits of data per second for only $50 per month. And if that's not enough, Fiber Internet 50 plan includes free Wi-Fi. But this offer will only last through the month of April. So sign up today and get ready for faster downloads, more streaming, a better gaming experience, and a stable connection across multiple devices. Conditions may apply. Visit gta.net for more details. GTA, your island, your network.
11 minutes past 7 a.m. here at The Point. It took a little more than 10 minutes for the Charter Schools Council to meet yesterday without the public auditor or the chief auditor of Guam DOE to guide them through allotment requests for the Guahan Academy Charter School. Work sessions have been scheduled with Guahan Academy as its charter nears expiration. Council Chairwoman Amanda Blas said that there may be another meeting scheduled with the auditors. The next work session is set for Thursday. One of the topics that will be discussed is Guahan Academy's transition plan into the next school year. The school is facing eviction from its current secondary school campus in Tiedzin by this summer. School officials say that a large part of their funding from Guam DOE has been withheld because of validation issues. A former police officer's wife who admitted to selling drugs out of their Chalanpago home was allowed modified house arrest to help her find a new home and a job while on pretrial release. Superior Court Judge Anita Sokola yesterday granting the request to defendant Renee Perez, who told the court that she's getting a divorce and no longer living with her husband. She has applied for housing of her own and would like time to gather the additional documents necessary to secure a separate residence, and she's still waiting on the prosecution to see if there will be a plea deal offered to her. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Ray with some weather. Maybe.
Well, thanks. No, I had it. I was trying to call up the weather map and see if I can get the actual weather map on the screen, and I know I can. I have the technology. Just push a button and I can get the thing playing on the stream so everybody can see it. I just need to make sure that Guam is somewhere in the middle of the screen that people are looking at, so you get an idea of what I'm talking about as I am doing the actual weather here. Trade winds and mostly dry weather continues across the region. Moisture will move into the area tonight and increase rain chances just a bit. Dry weather returning tomorrow. Any word on any rain outside at this time? I haven't had a chance to.
Actually, a few showers did blow through last hour, so already moist streets.
Watch out for that.
Sidewalks.
Partly sunny, isolated showers into especially more this afternoon. More clouds and scattered showers this evening and overnight as well. Winds out of the east up to about 20 miles an hour. Expected daytime highs 88 degrees and overnight lows should be about 77 degrees. Sunset will be at 6:34. That's news and weather together right here on The Point.
So you want to buy a house, but you don't know how much you could borrow. So what do? Well, you come to Bank Pacific and get pre-qualified. Sit down with one of our home loan specialists and let us see how much we can lend you so you know how much you can spend on your new home. Bank Pacific, where we're open to closing your loan in a hurry.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal housing lender, conditions apply. Come pre-qualify today.
Where is breakfast going to be today? You one of those people that you wake up in the morning and you go, well, I don't go to work anymore. I don't go to school anymore. You know what you ought to try? Think about this. Go to the Kings in Tamuning. And because I guarantee, especially right about now, guarantee there's a whole bunch of guys and girls of a certain age that are sitting around talking story and solving all of Guam's problems over a cup of coffee and breakfast at King's. Be one of them. They've been doing that for decades, serving Guam favorites to families like yours for over 40 years. King's Restaurant, always open, always local.
In illness and in wellness, Calvo's Select Care is health care that is there for you. That's why over 80% of the Guam medical community places their trust and insures with us. We offer our members wellness and fitness programs for a healthier lifestyle and provide a comprehensive medical network on and off island to help members from unexpected illnesses. Contact Calvo's Select Care today for more information.
I think that's a great plan. Portions of the program. This one segment, this sliver in particular, brought to you by First Hawaiian Bank, where it all starts with yes.
Water. It covers nearly 3/4 of our Earth. From vast oceans to millions of rivers and streams, we're all concerned with protecting our world's water. But none is more important than the water you and your family drink and use throughout your home. A Connecticut water treatment system can improve your water so that your family is using the best water in the world. Connecticut, for refreshing ideas on water.
American Water Tech. Smarter water. Better water. Call American Water Tech at 649-2301 or email info@americanwatertech.com.
The Coconut Wireless is back. The Ray Gibson Show. Any speaker, anytime. On demand at thepoint.gu.
Take a look at some traffic in a couple of minutes, but right now we'll take a look at what's happening in the markets. I'm sorry, I'm still just a little bit that last call though in the last hour of the program. Anna called up and she says, I lived in born here. Grew up here for a little bit. Family moved to the States, and I come back, and I feel like I'm being discriminated against among my own sister Chamorros in the workplace.
That's crazy. And I mean, I kind of experienced the same thing when I came over last year. It took me forever to prove myself over at the other place, only because no one wanted to give me a chance. I'm a guy from the mainland.
Yeah, but the point is that she's from here.
Yeah, no, that's what I say.
And then went away and came back, and now she has to prove herself all over again. So, like I said, 7-day bracelets, maybe the Guam seal necklace or something like that.
You saw my keychain.
Maybe a keychain. Just make it really, really visible. I don't know.
There it is. Nice
start spelling Chamorro with the capital C, capital H on all of the documents.
And a U at the end.
Right?
Got to have a U at the end.
So you might want to think about doing something like that. So what did I get from the folks online? When somebody leaves the island and opens their eyes to more ideas, then returns are generally more educated, cultured, domesticated, and open-minded. Sad that those who have this experience come back to share the experience and look down upon. Very shameful, they say. On the other side, you got somebody that says what you were describing is called jealousy, and somebody else says, I think you segregated yourself, doll. Change your attitude, change your result. So a little bit of that conversation going on, and we don't get a chance to do this very often, but here. This is great. I'm happy to do this. I got a note in the Facebook from the guy that said, "Can you please wish a happy birthday?" Oh, wait, there it is. I found it. John Bloss says, "Morning, Ray. Please say happy birthday to Amy Bloss from Windward Hills. Thanks, Ray, from her favorite son, John Bloss." Okay, well, happy birthday to you, Amy, and I'd be happy to stick some of those things on. We'll go over the list of all of the movers, shakers, and headline makers that are on the online stream this morning. You can chat with each other while I'm busy doing this thing on the radio. And the thing on the radio right now is, let's see what happened on the markets. How did we do today? All of the markets that I care about are in the green. S&P 500, 2706, up by almost 29 points. NASDAQ at 7281, they're up by 124 points. Dow Jones Industrial Average, the big one here, is up 213 points. It's on swole, bro. 24,786. FTSE is up 7,226, and the Nikkei is cranking up a little bit higher, 21,847. So as I said, those markets are closing up. Hang Seng, Shanghai, and the DAX. I'm sorry, Hang Seng and Shanghai are down, but the DAX is up by 194 points. On the commodity side, what have I got for oil? $66.67. That's up a little bit, but in comparison, down a little bit. The most recent numbers I have for Tapas are down. It was about 73 something in the last couple of days, down to $72.36 for a barrel of Tapas crude right now. Not enough to make the gas companies say, okay, shoo, we can lower the prices. They'll change the little inspirational quotes on the bottom of the signs with the prices, but so far I think we're stuck at $4.22 and 9/10 cents for a gallon of good gasoline for your cars today. The big stories that I think are going to have an impact on the market. It will be very, very interesting to see what the outcome of this is. But the top story on at least one of the sites that I go to is the North and South Korea are set to announce an official end to the war. There had been an armistice in place. A lot of people think that the war had been over, but frankly, the state of war had always existed, and they had the demilitarized zone at the 38th parallel. And there's people that you and I know that's a vacation stop when they go up to Korea is after we go and shop at the loaded department stores and all of that. You got to go up there and see this attraction that has been there for all of these years. And what will happen to the DMZ if, in fact, North and South Korea reported to turn the whole thing into a peace monument? Peace monument, guys, on Guam. You got to do it. We got to find a way. Invite Trump. Invite Kim. They're not going to come. There's going to be some opposition even on the ground from here, but it doesn't matter. We'll scratch up a few $1,000s. We'll do a GoFundMe, and we'll build a peace monument to Korea. And then every Korean that gets off the airplane from South Korea, and maybe some from North Korea, I mean, this could end up being a good thing for everybody. They'll get on the plane, they'll come to Guam, and they'll stay in the Airbnbs, and they'll drive in their rent-a-cars up to wherever it is that we have this Korean Peace Memorial. And it's appropriate because there are Guam sons. There are Guam sons. I don't know any of them. Probably Sergeant Major John Blas might have been one of the guys that served in the Korean War. But there are guys from around here served and died in the Korean War, and this is a great opportunity to memorialize them. But the other point on this is North and South Korea, maybe a possible end to the war, the end of the cessation of hostilities between the two of them. I would say arguably brought together by certain machinations in the White House and the Trump administration, and this could go down as a legacy moment for Trump, but the lefties won't let it happen. They'll find a way to say, no, we needed that war. The war was a good thing, as long as they can make it look good for Trump. Watch what happens there.
Can you trust Kim Jong-un?
Can
you trust him?
No. Are you kidding? I don't know. But when you start having that conversation, and you've got people in North Korea that have been longing for a glimpse of what civilization really looks like, you can't get to the edge and then pull it back. I got a feeling that would be disastrous for that country, and maybe even start up a civil war. The other couple of big stories: Starbucks is going to close all of the company-owned stores on the 29th of May, and everybody is going in for Racial Bias Education Day. You would think that a company as progressive as Starbucks would not have had to get themselves into this issue, and it is interesting to us to watch the left eat the left. IRS payment site crashed hours before the tax filing deadline back in the United States mainland, but they have come out and said, we will honor an extension for anybody that might have gotten caught in that was trying to get their tax returns in. And why is that important? Because unlike here, when you put your return in and you've got a refund coming, you do this on Quicken, you do it on all of the software deals that you've got on that thing. It's automatic. The paperwork goes in. You're in the database. If you're issued a refund, they will start writing the check tomorrow, and you'll get the check in the mail, or you'll get the check. You'll get your payment directly deposited into a checking account or something like that. That's why this is a big deal. And finally, Morgan Stanley issues a warning that the end is near for the bull market. And I don't know about you. I don't know how much faith you put in the predictions of anybody in the financial game. But if they're saying that the end is near for the bull market, I'm going to continue to pretend like it's going to be a bear market for the next bunch of years. Start looking for some deals on the equities out there and make some purchases. It's 7:23 in the morning. That's what happened on the market. Now would be a good time to find out what's happening in the mind of Jerry Roberts. It's time for today's Extra Point.
Has anyone treated you in a mean or cruel way at work? How did you respond? I'm Jerry Roberts, and workplace hate is the topic today on the Extra Point. Hate. Is it too strong a word to use for how some people treat others on the job? Forbes magazine recently published an article on this by Sally Kohn, CNN political commentator, activist, and the author of The Opposite of Hate, a field guide to repairing our humanity. Kohn believes our culture has become increasingly cruel and that we're all part of the problem. She told the story of a woman who said it was her coworker who started it, that her coworker had never been anything but mean to her, and so this woman didn't have any option but to hate her right back. Kohn asked her, "When's the last time you did something nice for her?" The woman looked back at Kohn like she was crazy, and then, slowly, she nodded. She understood that hating her right back wasn't helping to solve the problem. Most of us have been there. Someone's bad behavior toward us gives us justification to return same to them. Hey, they gonna hate on me? I'm gonna hate on them. Kohn says the problem of cruelty and incivility and hate never gets solved because no one takes the first step to put a stop to it. Hate in the workplace affects morale and employee happiness, impacts productivity, and eventually hurts the bottom line. This isn't about blatant bullying. That's a different topic. Workplace hate is usually more the petty things we do to each other. Rude emails or phone calls, a condescending attitude in meetings, or personal interactions. Research shows that over the past 10 years, more than 75% of all employees have experienced some level of incivility from their coworkers, supervisors, or customers, and it's getting worse. Cone reported that in 1998, 1/4 of American workers said they were treated rudely at work at least once a week. By 2011, the rate had doubled, and there's nothing to indicate that it has slowed down since then. The upshot of this is that the more we do nothing in the face of workplace hate and unnecessary conflict, the more it grows and spreads. And Cone says it's like management gives license to it and even tacitly endorses a toxic organizational culture. So what to do about it? We'll talk about that tomorrow here on The Ray Gibson Show. That's the Extra Point. Get out there and make something good happen today. For 93.3, I'm Jerry Roberts.
People are going to think that Anna called in to set up that Extra Point with Jerry, but that's not the case. That's not what happened. It works out, right? Janae says so. Janae said so on the online chat. It's like it was planned, but it wasn't. Tomorrow will be just as interesting, so you've got to tune in to find out what the resolve on all of that is. 7:25 in the morning now. Remind me, because you know how it is. They get busy and they're shiny all over the place, and I get distracted. Remind me later on that there are, if you are looking, there has never been a better time, I think, than right now to go and get yourself a job. There are job opportunities all over the place, and well, it depends. It depends. There's a job opportunity in particular I want to talk about in the next little bit that you might say this is the perfect job for me, specifically because it involves bacon. But there's a couple of caveats. I'll explain that to you in just a minute. 7:27 in the morning. That was Jerry in the Extra Point. GuamTraining.com if you want to get a copy of that.
Chili's lunch combos for just $10. Start your lunch with your choice of a Bud Light, iced tea, or Coca-Cola. Plus, free bottomless chips with salsa. Then choose a variety of fresh entree options like our savory beef enchiladas, quesadilla explosion salad, or our Cajun chicken pasta. Experience fresh flavors in every bite with Chili's lunch combos for just $10. Available Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. At Chili's, fresh is happening now.
7:26, let's do traffic. Traffic building in all of the usual places this morning, southbound, Dededo, and we got some issues with northbound traffic on Marine Corps Drive, mostly for people that are trying to get through that intersection between 1 and 3. Route 3 traffic towards the intersection, also building up a little bit. 8, 10, and 16. Listen to me sound like Elmer Fudd when I do. 8, 10, and 16, traffic looking okay there, except as you get towards that intersection on Route 8 and away from that intersection on Route 8. Traffic beginning to build up because it's 7:30 in the morning. One of the other places that is worth watching is that, you know, you get that turn on Route 16 after you pass DMV and you're trying to make that turn onto Route 10A to make your way to the airport. It's the Ocean Vista intersection. And so there's a line of traffic that is beginning to grow at that intersection that wants to make that left turn. Problem is that it's a good light that they've got there, but there's traffic that's coming up the hill. So when you get your green light, you always have to fight for the merge with the guy that wants to go into the lane on the uphill side anyway. Zipper that through, if you would. Just there's going to be people that are coming in. Don't make them wait. Don't be a bad guy. Don't go, oh, I'm not going to let you in because whatever. Just zipper the traffic and everybody will get through at the same time. 7:29, that's what's happening on the roadways as reported here on The Point.
The stations of Choice Broadcasting are celebrating April 2018 as National Earth Month in the first ever Upcycle Mascot Showdown. We've invited the public elementary 5th grade classes to set the example and build their school mascots completely out of recyclable material. Come down to the Chamorro Village Festival Huts on April 21st from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. for upcycle-themed games, chances to win prizes from McDonald's of Guam, Pitbull Empire, Pokey Fry, Dickerson and Quinn, and Sylvan Learning Center, an upcycle costume fashion show, and a special performance from Body Arts Dance Studio. Plus, Plus, kids can enjoy rides on the Caterpillar, Power Wheels, and rock wall climbing, courtesy of Pit Shop. Don't forget to stop by the Guam Girl Scouts booth to learn how you can make a cleaner, greener effort in your community. Support your school's mascot and be sure to vote for your favorite. Judges pick the first place winner. The public votes for the second place winner. Celebrate Earth Month with our students in the Upcycle Mascot Showdown. Brought to you by Leo Palace Resort Guam, Dr. Yang Dental, JV International Safety Equipment Company, Nanbo Insurance Underwriters, Denny's of Guam, Jams Media Productions, and The Point.
Hey, it's news time with Kevin Kerrigan from the Guam Daily Post.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 30 minutes past 7 a.m. In the headlines from the Guam Daily Post this morning, the Guam Solid Waste Authority will conduct an evaluation before imposing any fee increases when they eventually take over operations from the federal receiver. Board Chairman Andrew Gale telling lawmakers yesterday that once GSWA management takes over, they'll evaluate operational expenses and determine what the proper rates should be going forward. Current tipping fee rates were set back in 2009 and generate about $18 million in annual revenue. The receivership has been extended until at least June 30th, although District Court Judge Frances Tidenko Gatewood has doubts about whether the GSWA will be ready by then, and she's scheduled a hearing on that issue for next month. Safe housing for homeless children was the subject at a roundtable discussion at the legislature yesterday. Public Health Social Services Administrator Linda Rodriguez said homelessness and child abuse are rising. She said there are a lot of challenges to find a place for children to stay, and other types of homeless shelters are needed. She said additional services to homeless families, especially those with minor children, are needed as well. And with only 15 social workers providing assistance under Child Protective Services, Rodriguez said the agency would like to hire more personnel to assist with the caseload. In a report based on visitor exit surveys, the Guam Visitors Bureau found less than 40% of Japanese tourists were very satisfied with their trip to Guam between October of 2017 and February of this year. For Korean tourists, the results were even lower. Last December, just 8% of visitors left with a very satisfied impression of their visit. The report did not include results for any lower levels of satisfaction. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
iConnect time is 7:32. Connect longer for less with iConnect's push-to-talk mobile and internet plans.
Do you carry your lunch to school or work? You can reduce waste simply by using reusable containers instead of plastic bottles and disposable bags. Switch to putting your food in Tupperware and putting your drinks into a thermos or flask.
Catch more clean and green living tips every day and get inspired to make a cleaner, greener effort in your community. Happy Earth Month from the stations of Choice Broadcasting.
Brought to you in part by Denny's of Guam. America's Diner is always open. Like and follow Denny's Guam on Facebook.
Wendy's has got the new Smoky Mushroom Bacon Cheeseburger featuring smoky sauteed portobello mushrooms, melted Asiago cheese, crispy applewood smoked bacon. Crispy applewood smoked bacon. Anybody want to say that with me? You want to use your deep voice? Try it. Crispy, say it. So it's crispy applewood smoked bacon.
Crispy applewood smoked bacon.
Crispy applewood smoked bacon.
And then crunchy fried onion tangles atop a juicy, beefy patty. It's here for a limited time at Wendy's. Now, that's better.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
What, traffic again? It's only been 10 minutes. It hasn't changed all that much. Well, it's beginning to thicken up a little bit. It's 7:33 in the morning. If you're not out already stuck in traffic or ahead of some of these spots, then chances are you're going to get stuck behind them. Traffic between the intersection of Route 4 and 10 and 8, 10, and 16, especially around the UOG GCC area, beginning to busy up. Just as you get to that intersection that will take you into the two different schools, traffic leaving and approaching the intersection of Route 8, 10, and 16 on 8 also beginning to busy up. If you're on Marine Corps Drive anywhere between the south tip of Jigo and the intersection of Marine Corps Drive and Route 3, you are going to be experiencing some building up of traffic. Don't see anything that's going to slow you down. Certainly don't see anything that's going to stop you except the traffic lights. That's news and weather and traffic together here on The Point.
Hey, it's your stomach again. Subway has all new signature wraps, and around the water cooler, the other stomachs can't stop talking about them. Chipotle Southwest steak and cheese, turkey, bacon, and guac, rotisserie-style chicken Caesar signature wraps. Listen, if I'm honest, as a talking stomach, I don't have a lot of life experience. But I do know one thing. These signature wraps are jam-packed with meat. So what are you waiting for? I'm growling over here. Subway. Make it what you want.
I gotta put his name down on the thing. I gotta put his Tom the Hammer Adda on the gizmo so that everybody knows exactly who I'm talking to right now on The Point. Hey, good morning, Senator. How you doing?
Thank you, Ray.
Absolute delight to talk. You on your cell phone right now?
Yeah, I'm sitting in the parking lot right now.
No, that's okay. I just where are you headed? It's 7:35. Are you moving early or you moving late to somewhere? I'm trying to figure out what your morning constitutional looks like these days.
No, I just dropped off my grandkids at Harvest, and
Right.
And I'm down here at the office now.
All right, glad to hear it. Well, and busy day yesterday. Folks had some conversation over at the legislature on the Solid Waste Authority and opportunities to take over and review the plan that they have got. Let me just give you a couple of notes here from at least one person online. PDN poll says is GovGuam ready to take over the solid waste operations? And the question from this guy, John Bullwinkle online, says, why? So they can misappropriate funds for and from that as well. And the other point here, and I think this is a good point, I thought we were trying to shrink the government, not add to it. So a thought before we get to where you were yesterday, is there any reason, a compelling reason, why the government of Guam really ought to be in the trash business anymore? Is this something that we could outsource or privatize?
Well, much of it is, being outsourced insofar as the pickup for commercial businesses and whatnot. So what the government basically retains responsibility for is a trash pickup for residential.
Mm-hmm.
And insofar as, I guess we could outsource that also, but and for the most part, a lot of it is, even if the government took it, probably a lot of that will be outsourced. The maintenance of the vehicles, the operation of the Luzon landfill, that's being outsourced already. So, basically, really most of what's left that the government is doing itself is the administration part of it. Mm-hmm. And they'll probably continue to, hire the people that are trash pickup trucks that go around the villages, and that'll probably be the extent of the government's involvement.
Right. So, I'm curious about moving forward off of that. I hear what you're saying about how there might be different components of our solid waste that are outsourced. But as I said, you take a look at the GSWA board and how that's going to be a function of the government of Guam, and there are some out there that are thinking, we've gotten kind of spoiled by the system that the receiver has put in place. Arguably pricey for the government of Guam. Some people say it is. But in the meantime, we've got good, consistent, reliable trash pickup. We've got curbside recycling programs that are going on. We've got white goods eliminations, and people, I think, don't want to go back to the old way. And there's this specter of distrust that once it gets back in the hands of the government of Guam, even as good as this board is, and I know you and I know guys on that board, and they're all smart dudes, but they ain't going to be there forever. And so maybe there's this thinking that maybe we ought to talk the receiver into sticking around and turning this into a full-time business for them, or maybe find some of the other businesses on the mainland that might be interested in coming out to Guam and operating a solid waste system for us.
Sure, we can do that, but those guys are also in the business to make a profit. And obviously, we're going to need, I mean, right now, just with the receiver, his fees alone, I understand, are, up to about an extra $700,000 a year. So, it comes at a price. And do we want to pay that price when I believe we can, do it ourselves?
Well, I don't know. We'll take a look and see what the surveys say. I'd hate to be on the other side of a transition, and then we realize that we are not up to the task. And even the lady over at the court has put out her report or her paperwork that says she doesn't trust any of the numbers in the report. They're going to get together again in May the 11th to review all of that, and there might be another delay, perhaps, in moving forward with that transition between the receiver and GSWA.
Well, I think there will be if we don't get those rules and regs approved in time for the May 11th status hearing. I mean, that's going to be a non-starter right there. I know that when we had the status hearing in February, basically she says the new management, the general manager and the controller, they need more time to get their feet wet.
Yes.
And kind of put that one off, and we need to get a set of rules and regulations in place. Well, we're getting there. We just got one more step to go, and that is to get it through the legislature and get that approved. And we had that public hearing yesterday on that rules and regulations.
Right. What was your takeaway on that?
I think we're about 90% there. They basically took the rules and regulations that the receiver was operating under, but there were provisions in there that I thought were missing. For example, there was no provisions in there as to where do I go to appeal if there's a dispute between the customer and the agency. All the utilities have that provision, but it's not in the set of rules and regs, and they took a note of that. There was a provision in there about what happens if a truck comes up to Luzon, and supposedly there's a radioactive detector that they have up there, and they detect that there's radioactive material in that waste. And so what was presented yesterday was simply that we would, basically take appropriate actions. Well, something like that, I think we need to flesh that out a little bit.
What exactly are the appropriate actions?
Exactly, yeah. And that was one option. The other option was you turn the truck away and tell him, no, you can't dump it here. So where's he going to dump it? Probably on the boonies.
Well, that's the other concern, and one of the stories that Kevin was chewing on this morning is they're already talking about, well, let's have an evaluation on the fees that are being charged now by the receiver and what they could be under the new administration of the GSWA. And I tell you what, my preference here, Senator, is that evaluation be looked at by something like a Consolidated Commission on Utilities and blessed by the PUC. And I can't remember where the conversation ended the last time I paid any attention to it, but who would GSWA answer to, and who would be the ultimate arbiters and determinators of what those fees will be? Will it be them, or will it go through a Public Utilities process?
Ultimately, the Public Utilities Commission will be the one. When the Enabling Act was written for the Solid Waste Authority, it made provisions in there that I believe 7 months into taking over, they would have to file a petition to the Public Utilities Commission, because the Solid Waste Authority is categorized as a utility. And so it's going to come under the Public Utilities Commission. So basically, the process will be no different from the other utilities. We'll have to hire a consultant to, do that review, and then the recommendations will be sent up to the Public Utilities Commission, who would then also take a look at that and determine whether, maybe if you cut back on these expenses, you won't have to increase rates, and that's where the Public Utility Commission comes in. to balance things out.
Was there ever any serious talk about making the GSWA fall under, as GPA and GWA do, the CCU?
That was discussed, but at the time it was being discussed in the legislature. It was there were some senators who did not buy into that because they felt like now the CCU was starting to get too powerful.
But the stopgap has always been, the catcher on the baseball field on that one has always been the Public Utilities Commission. The rates have been proposed by GWA and GPA, and in some cases they have been modified by the Consolidated Commission on Utilities, but finally ratified. And I think with certain people on the Public Utilities Commission that have said, "Are you sure we're not crazy about this? We're going to hold off on a bigger chunk of this until later." So I think it's nice that we've got that three-step process, regardless of whether people think the CCU is too mighty and too powerful. That's a decision that gets made by the voters when they put the people in there.
That's right. And, I mean, we are where we are now, where we have a board of directors that oversees the Solid Waste Authority.
Mm-hmm.
I consider these things as always work in progress. Maybe down the road here, the time will be ripe to take a look again at now putting the Solid Waste Authority under the CCU, since it is classified as a utility.
So here's what we do. This is what we do. It's just my idea. It's a brilliant idea for this morning, right? If I pat myself on the back. So you go ahead and do it that way. And since you're not running for senator, then go over, see Maria Pangilinan and get a packet and see if you can beat Simon or Francie or George for their seat. And then you can be on the CCU and then watch this thing fold up and make sure that there's at least one guy that I can call in the CCU that's going to say, yeah, we don't like this rate hike because Ray doesn't like it.
What you smoking, Ray?
What? I can't hear you. There's something wrong with the connection. I better go to the next call. I'll talk to you pretty soon, Senator.
Okay. Okay, bye.
See him. He go, what? That's the whole point of getting back on the radio, so I can make sure that any price hikes, anything that I see that I don't like, I'll presume that you don't like either, and then I'll chew on somebody's ear until they say, okay, we'll keep it at $30 until we're absolutely sure that we've got to raise the prices. It's the boards and the commissions. I'm telling you guys, that's the way the government. You can change the governor if you want to. You change the lieutenant governor. You can take all 15 people out of the legislature and replace them with 7-year-olds. There would still be the government because we've got all these commissions and agencies out there. And one of the guys that's tilting against that windmill is a friend of mine. I consider this guy one of the smartest dudes on Guam. He'll say no. But John Thomas Brown joining me on the radio right now. Good morning, John. How you doing?
Up to day, Ray.
It's always a pleasure, and hope I get a chance to see you and the wife cruising around somewhere at one of the next big gala opportunities that's out there. And then maybe you can tell me a little bit more about the disagreement that, if you will, between yourself, other residents, and folks that have vested interest in what's going on in Tamuning, Tumon, and Harmon, and the waiver that has been granted on this, quote, boutique hotel. So backfill that story for the listeners.
Yeah, well, the main problem that comes up, and I do sit on the mayor's planning council, and we have people come in and take issues with a number of the developments that are popping up all the time in Tamuning. You know, it's the Tuha, as they call it. It's a rather large part of Guam, and probably the most dense part of Guam, and the problem is that back in the 1980s, they created a comprehensive master plan for the future of Guam. It was a comprehensive plan. Those are squishy, soft kinds of things that make big assessments, big broad sweeps, and then a big broad sweep. They thought that that Tatuha area, particularly the Tamuning part of it, should be higher density. Those plans are just that. There's no law behind that. But what has happened is that the Department of Land Management and the GLUC have come to believe that the plan is the law that governs the zoning. And they're highly mistook. When you go through the zoning law, bring it up. It's a PDF.
Okay.
And search for density and see what comes up. It's hardly mentioned. And it's not mentioned in any relevance at all to the granting of this height variance that was approved for that Blue Ocean thing. But this is not just Blue Ocean. This is the problem that the government is pushing development when it is not pushing infrastructure. And so the infrastructure is woefully behind the development that the government is underwriting. Well, actually, the public is underwriting. The government is pushing. We, on the council, we've seen time and again developments come up, nice developments, very, very good people who are behind them and everything, no problem there. But they're promising that they will pay to widen the road. They promise that they will put in new sewers or water lines or power grids or whatever. They promise all of this stuff if only they can get their development up and running. So, of course, it gets up and running, and the infrastructure is not there.
It's talking about EPAL Road in particular, because it seems to me that one of the developments down there was supposed to do some road widening and some paving, and they did widen the road in front of their development, and as soon as their lines of the development ended, so did the pavement, so did the widening.
Yeah, and you'd think that all those people just kind of came in on helicopters to that widening, but they don't. They come in through all the roads, and it's not just EPAL Road. That's one of them. There's some. What makes EPAL Road different is that there's still a lot of single-family homes around there, and the homeowners complain about all of this. But down in Happy Landing Road, which is basically a cow path. I mean, you can't get two cars passing each other on that. You get a truck, you're just out of luck. You got to back up like on a mountain road. It's dangerous. It's a big bottleneck, and
they just finished an apartment complex there.
Yeah.
I just finished an apartment complex there. It's and it was interesting going up and down that road. I work near there, obviously, and so going up and down that road on 2 or 3 times a week basis, and there's supposed to be flagmen out doing the construction. Never were. You take your chances around a curve as you're trying to go up and down that. You're right. It's an old Carabao Trail. This is where the hippies lived in the 1970s. There used to be all A-frame houses up there.
Yeah, well, I was a hippie in the 70s, but not up here. I was still back in California. But getting back to that point of that new development that was put in there, that raises a very interesting idea, because, you see, that does not require any approval. It was a 3-floor development. That is allowed by law. That will never come before the GLUC, because the GLC doesn't approve what is already approved. It only approves things that are at variance to what is approved. In other words, the exceptions to the rule. So infilling with these 3-story buildings is happening all over the place, as allowed by law. MPLC doesn't take any position on that because there's nothing,
no conflict.
About it.
Yeah,
no conflict. So we don't get involved, but this variance process that the GLC is using is a major overdevelopment on a block-by-block basis, willy-nilly across the island, and without any comprehensive, I'm not talking about comprehensive mapping, I'm talking about comprehensive urban development where you get your infrastructure in place first before you do the development. That's the only way it can survive, because if we build now to what our infrastructure allows us, and we've already overbuilt that, we've got to build a whole new infrastructure that has to anticipate what's going to happen next year and the year after that. And we're nowhere near that.
Well, then
going to end up in downtown Hong Kong.
John, then why cannot the Power Authority and the water company, which are going to be impacted by the additional development that they were talking about down there? I mean, it's, what is it, 300 rooms, 21 stories? That's obviously going to have an impact on the power grid. It's going to have an impact on wastewater, and being able to whoosh that to literally flush it out of the Tumon area on a regular basis. And it wasn't that long ago, you'll recall, that GWA had a moratorium on development because there were issues with the state of the utility. I want to say it was not necessarily in that area. I'm trying to figure out where it was that they had problems and stated a moratorium on development. There was just a few years ago. So while the Guam Land Use Commission, while Mike Borja might be able to say, yeah, here's the check marks and all the signatures on your variance here, you still got to be able to go back to somebody and say, well, we're going to hook you up with electricity, and somebody's going to say, we don't have that much electricity down there, man. I got enough for a 3-inch pipe, and you're asking for a 6-inch pipe. So we're going to charge you a system development fee, and that might be the way that if there is going to be something that puts a comma on this, then that might be it. You might want to be able to go to those guys and say, these guys are going to be putting serious demands on the system, and they should pay for it.
That's what urban development, properly planned and executed, does. That's not what we're doing. We're not putting any commas in any of this stuff. And all the while, we have infilling that's allowed by law, that, it's under our radar, that's just happening. And that's more and more density. And then you put up a high-rise under the fake name of a boutique, and you really blow everything out of proportion. It's proportionality that's the problem here, and getting the infrastructure ahead of the building. I understand that, economy. I mean, I've been a business lawyer for 40 years. I'm full in favor of it, but I'm also in favor of planned social community development. And we don't know the first thing about it. All they know down at GLUC and the Department of Land Management is, this is high density under the maps. But go through the procurement. I'm a one-horse.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the procurement. It's just not the first time I've had you on right after Tom.
Yeah. We make a good team. But in this case, the zoning law makes no cognizance of density. It just says you cannot build to a height greater than 6 stories unless you have some unique adversity that prevents you from building an appropriate building on that lot. An appropriate building would be 6 stories.
I was going to say,
could have done that.
I was going to say, because that's not a lot of space that we're talking about, and it's that area. If you're in traffic and making a left turn up Happy Landing Road, look across the street, and that is the hulk, about 3 acres worth of property that used to be a shooting range for the tourists, and it burned down years ago. And I always thought something else was going to be happening with that property. Imagine a 21-story building there. Imagine a 21-story building.
Just wait. It's going to be there because they've evidently approved this. Now, when they make a variance approval, when they grant the variance, they have to tick off all of these different elements of the law that they have covered. Yes, because, yes, we've covered this. We've covered this. Well, one of the things they're going to have to cover is they're going to rely on the density. Density is not one of the factors that you consider under the zoning law. And it'll be very interesting to see how they justify this one, because in my reading of the law, technically, it doesn't look to me like it passes muster.
Well, then the Attorney General, apparently, I'm reading the story, John, that Kevin wrote up on zoning laws, page 2 of today's Daily Post, and it says that you're not necessarily interested in fighting the GLUC out in open court on this. It costs tens of thousands of dollars. You might still win the case, but you're going to spend a lot of money doing it. Any chance that, I don't know, the Attorney General of the island of Guam might get a little bit more involved in this variation case? As maybe a little bit more involved than she did when we were talking about all of the animated signs that seem to be popping up all over the place based on other variances.
Well, no, let's not write the Attorney General out of this, because, back when we were talking about those signs and the commissioners and the chairman said, "Oh, we don't care about the law. We want to, we're all for development," and they just let it go.
Well, that's the point. Is if she lets it go, if she lets it go, if she lets it go, John, there's nobody to defend it.
Yeah, well, she wrote an opinion saying it's illegal and you can't do it. So what did they do? I don't know what they did with the one that they had already approved, the other ones that they'd already approved, but they should have been taken down because they were done in violation of the law.
You and I agree on that point, and that didn't happen. The legislature stepped in, grandfathered these guys, and from the last conversation I had, they're going to continue to make it more advantageous to the ones that were grandfathered and make it tougher for people that want to get into it. If you want to continue to talk about it, I got to break away. I got the news thing coming up.
Oh, okay. Well, whatever.
we'll continue the conversation because I think it's hot.
This is the problem's going to continue, so we'll have plenty of opportunities.
I'm sure we will. Fox News Live now on KUSG Agano.
New York City. Fox's Gernal Scott has this live.
Lisa, Southwest Airlines CEO Gary Kelly in a video message said his company's investigation is just beginning, but adds the entire organization is feeling this tragedy.
This is a sad day, and our hearts go out to the family and loved ones of the deceased customer.
The National Transportation Safety Board also ramping up its look at what caused one of the plane's engines to break apart as it headed from New York to Dallas. Cockpit recorders will be analyzed in Washington. This is the first passenger death in an accident involving a U.S. commercial airline in nearly a decade, Lisa.
Gernal, President Trump at his home in Florida conducting 2 days of talks with Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. The pair discussing the economy and trade, as well as the upcoming meeting between President Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Saudi Arabia in talks with the Trump administration about sending forces into Syria as Defense Chief James Mattis and Joint Chiefs Chair General Joseph Dunford brief lawmakers about U.S. action there. But some are questioning if we should even be there. Fox's Jared Halpern live on Capitol Hill.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell calls the weekend airstrikes in Syria an appropriate response to the use of chemical weapons.
And if the Syrians use chemical weapons again, I hope the president will do the same thing all over again.
But South Carolina Republican Lindsey Graham called the strike a small price to pay for Syrian President Bashar al-Assad.
I think Assad, after this strike, believes that we're all tweet and no action.
Other lawmakers have raised concerns about the airstrike, calling on Congress to approve military action in Syria. Lisa.
Jared, a majority of the San Diego Board of Supervisors voting to back a Trump administration lawsuit against California's so-called sanctuary law. Fox News, fair and balanced.
For over 55 years, Community First has served our island as a full-service financial institution. And now, we're proud to introduce the new Community First Student-Run Credit Union, opened in Manilao on Route 10, Guam's first student-run financial institution, which means it's operated by college students like us, ready to serve all our members, existing and new. We're just down the road from UOG and GCC. Community First Guam Federal Credit Union, now open in Manilao. This credit union is federally insured by NCUA.
This time, let's hear it from the first KFC female colonel.
Smoky Mountain Barbecue, fried chicken so crispy and sweet. That crispy fried chicken. All right, stop, I can't do this. I thought if I dressed up like a country music legend, it would help KFC sell my delicious new Smoky Mountain Barbecue.
KFC, it's finger licking good.
The jury in the Bill Cosby sexual assault retrial allowed to hear a transcript of an old police interview. Fox's Steve Rappaport has details live.
Lisa, Cosby admits in the 2005 interview that he gave Andrea Constand pills and fondled her. The 80-year-old told police he gave Constand Benadryl to help her relax, and she did not object when he touched her. Constand says nothing about that encounter was consensual, and the pills knocked her out. In a setback for the defense, the judge allowing prosecutors to tell the jury about Cosby's prior testimony of giving Quaaludes to women for sex. Prosecutors called 5 additional accusers as witnesses to portray Cosby as a sexual predator. The defense blasting Constand as a con artist who is madly in love with the entertainer's fame and money. Lisa?
Steve, a crackdown coming on prescription drug makers if opioids they produce end up on the street in high numbers.
The U.S. Drug Enforcement Agency will soon demand pharmaceutical companies to limit production of narcotic pills if it helps keep their products out of the hands of at-risk addicts. Attorney General Jeff Sessions speaking in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Then they will be able to reduce the amount of opioids the company can produce and sell. They have the ability to limit the amount, and they're going to be more aggressive in that effort.
Sessions adds the Trump administration hopes to reduce opioid prescriptions by a third over 3 years. Eben Brown, Fox News.
Authorities in Texas looking for new leads in the 1991 death of a woman whose case is seen as an inspiration for the Academy Award-winning film 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. The Texas Department of Public Safety saying in a release it's raised the reward to $6,000 for any information leading to the arrest of those responsible for the death of 34-year-old Kathy Page. After her death, her father, James Fulton, rented billboards accusing Vidor police of not doing anything to investigate the killing. Lisa Lacera, Fox News Radio.
Don't dump that cooking water down the sink. You can reuse it for other purposes, such as watering your plants or garden. After boiling pasta or steaming veggies, let the water cool and then recycle away.
Catch more clean and green living tips every day and get inspired to make a cleaner, greener effort in your community. Happy Earth Month from the stations of Choice Broadcasting.
Brought to you in part by Dr. Yang Dental. Call Dr. Yang and the Smile Team at 647-8702. They make smiles happen.
Stop by any Circle K today and overload your For Real. It's simple. Pick out your favorite For Real shake, blend it, and then mix and match any 2 toppings for only $1. Overload your For Real with a variety of sweet treats like Oreo cookies, gummy bears, classic M&Ms or peanut M&Ms, and Reese's peanut butter cups. Simply add them to your For Real shake for an overload experience and enjoy. For Real Overload, only available at participating Circle Ks. Circle K, take it easy.
As we journey through the new year, we here at APL continue to find ways to better deliver our island's resources with innovative and cost-effective solutions, lending our helping hands by carrying your freight safely from the U.S. mainland or anywhere in our global network. We humbly honor the opportunities to continue to work and connect with you and your business. We are APL, and we are here for you.
For more than 40 years, we've managed our island's most precious resource, your health. Take Care's benefit plans allow members access to more than 120 medical providers, 40 dental providers, and 18 pharmacies in the region. Take Care's health plans ensure members in Palau, Saipan, and Guam receive the care they deserve. Our programs and wellness classes have proven results for our valued members, and our commitment to your health never been stronger. Take Care, our island, your health plan.
With the largest inventory of rental equipment on Guam, East West Rental Center is sure to have the tool you need to get your job finished quickly. From equipment rental, party rental, parts and service to used equipment, East West Rental Center has what you need. Call East West Rental Center at 646-1463 or visit them online and browse through their online rental catalog at eastwestrental.com. They're located in Upper Tumon, right across St. John's School. East West Rental Center, providing the island of Guam with quality equipment rentals since 1972.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 8 minutes past 8 a.m. this Wednesday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Guam Customs and Quarantine Director James McDonald telling lawmakers yesterday during a roundtable that smugglers are doing everything they can to find ways to bring drugs into Guam, including an increasing number of human drug carriers arriving at the airport smuggling drugs in their body cavities. He said the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration has even recently advised Guam Customs to start checking the corpses, the caskets that are being shipped into Guam. Colonel Philip Tyron said Customs needs more officers to do the job, pointing out that the number of frontline officers has fallen to just 109 from a high of 232 back in 1998. Customs is proposing tripling the passenger service fee for arriving visitors in order to hire more officers to help stem the flow of drugs. The agency wants to increase the fee from $8.29 now to $24.53 by 2020, adding more than $16 to the ticket costs for arriving passengers. Speaker Benjamin Cruz said he would be fully supportive of increasing passenger fees, saying, "If visitors have to absorb the cost to protect our community by stopping the drugs at the border, I'm all for it," he said. 3 men were charged in Superior Court yesterday with possession of methamphetamine following separate traffic stops. 19-year-old Amson Mewerachong was detained after his car was stopped on Swamp Road in Dededo for failing to yield. A search turned up a glass pipe and a small bag containing suspected meth. 45-year-old David Alex Holbrook was also detained on Monday in a separate incident when his car was stopped in Dededo. He was unable to provide identification. A pat-down yielded 3 pipes and a small resealable bag with crystal-like substance inside that tested presumptive positive for meth. And just yesterday, police stopped a 37-year-old Eric Imbudio Fortes, who was riding a motor scooter that was observed swerving as it approached a traffic sign. He was found with a syringe, a glass pipe that had a burnt residue inside that also proved presumptive positive for meth. All 3 charged with possession of a Schedule II controlled substance as a third-degree felony. We'll have more news after this.
Triple J says yes. 0 down? Yes. 1.9% financing? Yes. Easy trade-in? Yes. No payments for 90 days? Yes. We'll have you saying yes, too, to these amazing deals. Like our big boy truck, the Ford F-150 at only $217 per paycheck. Or the top safety pick Mazda CX-5 Sport at only $194 per paycheck. Or turn heads in the Mazda 3 Sport or the sleek and sophisticated Kia Soul. Both for only $129 per paycheck. Visit us online at triplejguam.com. Some conditions apply. See dealer for details. Triple J, customers first.
Chili's lunch combos for just $10. Start your lunch with your choice of a Bud Light, iced tea, or Coca-Cola. Plus, free bottomless chips with salsa. Then choose a variety of fresh entree options like our savory beef enchiladas, quesadilla explosion salad, or our Cajun chicken pasta. Experience fresh flavors in every bite with Chili's lunch combos for just $10. Available Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. At Chili's, fresh is happening now.
11 minutes past 8 a.m. here at The Point. It took a little more than 10 minutes for Guam Academy Charter Schools Council to meet yesterday without the public auditor or the chief auditor of Guam DOE to guide them through allotment requests for Guahan Academy Charter School. Work sessions have been scheduled with Guahan Academy as its charter nears expiration. Council Chairwoman Amanda Blas said that there may be another meeting scheduled with the auditors. Next work session set for Thursday. One of the topics that will be discussed is Guahan Academy's transition plan into the next school year. The school is facing eviction from its current secondary school campus in Tiedzin. School officials say that a large part of their funding from Guam DOE has been withheld because of validation issues. Safe housing for homeless children was the subject at a roundtable discussion at the legislature yesterday afternoon. Public Health's Social Services Administrator, Linda Rodriguez, said homelessness and child abuse are rising. She said there are a lot of challenges to find a place for other children, and other types of homeless shelters are needed. With only 15 social workers providing assistance under the Child Protective Services, Rodriguez said that the agency would like to hire more personnel to help with the caseload. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Ray with weather.
Thank you, Kevin. Partly sunny with isolated showers this afternoon. More clouds and scattered showers should be moving in the late evening and overnight, so expect rainy travels tomorrow morning. East winds up to about 20 miles an hour, and daytime highs should be 88 degrees. Overnight lows of about 77 degrees. Sunset tonight at 6:34. There will be running in the downtown Hagutnia area for those of you that might want to join in. So you just have to fight the Wednesday night market traffic, find parking somewhere in the vicinity, and we'll hit the road there. That's what's going to be happening. 8:12 in the morning. That's news and weather together on The Point.
Are you a veteran or on active duty looking for a home loan and VA eligible? Then Bank Pacific stores are open to you, where we are a VA-approved preferred lender. That simply means we can give you faster credit approvals and loan closing. And with today's super low rates, you just can't go wrong. Bank Pacific's My VA Loan, where we're open to closing your loan in a hurry.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal housing lender, Credit conditions apply. Viva Bank Pacific.
It is 8:13 in the morning. The Ray Gibson Show is brought to you by King's Restaurant, serving Guam favorites to families for over 40 years. At King's Restaurant, they're always open, always local, and always
When the
extra
power goes out
napkins.
on Guam, the little things can become surprisingly big. Small comforts are often the things we miss most during a power outage. That is why Kohler built the fastest responding generator sets in the industry. Whether you are at home or away, a residential Kohler generator will enable you and your family to live life without interruption. Kohler gas, LPG, and diesel power systems are available from Morrico Equipment LLC on Epal Road. Call 649-1946. That's 649-1946. Don't forget to click on to MorricoEquipment.com.
All right, quarter after 8 o'clock in the morning, and just real quick before I get to the next commercial piece, note I've got traffic inbound and outbound into 8, 10, and 16. If you're on Route 8 making your way towards the intersection, a little bit of a slowdown there. If you're on Route 16 trying to make your way to Route 8 and that intersection, we've got a little bit of a slowdown there. Marine Corps Drive between the entrance to the Guam Regional Medical City in front of the Micronesia Mall and past Tumon beginning to get busy. Looks like it clears up right after St. John's. That's just a real quick look at the traffic here. Time for a Cold Stone break. Now try the new strawberry shortcake and fresh lemon pie ice cream. Mix them with your favorite fruits, nuts, candies, or even the golden Oreo cookies. Now, I always try to make a point about how rare golden Oreo cookies are. I mean, it's not just something that you can go and buy at Payless or Kmart. I mean, you can, but it's rare. It's just, and so in my mind, there is a great opportunity to say that golden Oreo cookies are so hard to come by that the guys over at Customs are being told to check the corpses. But I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to. That's just creepy. It's a creepy thing, son. I'm gonna let it slide today. It comes with golden Oreo cookies. Try that at Cold Stone Creamery at the Guam Premier Outlets in the Micronesia Mall.
Why pay for paper? Go paperless for $3 less. Move into e-billing and reduce your carbon footprint while enjoying an easier, faster, and more secure way to receive and view your bills. No more paper clutter or waiting for the mail. Go green and sign up today by checking out DocomoPacific.com or calling 688-CARE. Why pay for paper? Go paperless for $3 less. Docomo Pacific, better together.
Ray Gibson brings you closer to the action.
Yep.
Morning talk that matters. Call now. 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
You know, and if I can't get you closer to the action, then somebody will jump in and pick up the slack. Got a note here from Boris, and was talking about traffic in and out of 8, 10, and 16 and thereabouts. But he says, look, there's a car accident near Pacific Tire and Manila. Wreckers and fire trucks are on the scene. That would probably be about the third accident that I've seen or heard from in just a little bit. Didn't we have a rollover up there a couple of weeks ago? There must be something about that intersection and what's going on there that makes things a little bit more dangerous. But thanks for the call in on that one. You can also reach me, RayGibsonShow@gmail.com. You can find me on Facebook Live. Go to thepoint.gu Facebook page. And once you're there, you can click on actual live video of what's happening right now. Like the page, if you don't mind. I want you to like the page. And that way, when we're on, when we first go on, as soon as I go on, you'll get a note that says that we're on live, and then you can start watching and doing that. You'll also get notes when we share this. When I share it personally, you'll also get a note that we're on live, so you can watch the proceedings and see what's going on. Ooh, a glimpse into a real live radio station. Imagine that, kids. Hey, you know what it's time for? Sports with Blake. Was there sports last night, Blake?
There was sports. There was some high school girls soccer and volleyball. You know, weirdly enough, though, I don't have the results. I just have the fact that they went on. But I do have some 2018 Boston Marathon Guam runners' time.
We'll get to that in a second. I do know that the Harvest Eagles won their volleyball, their boys double back.
They bounced back.
Yeah, they came back. I know that they won last night. I don't have the score either. I just,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, hey, Mace, did you win? He says, yeah, that's right.
You know, actually, I checked all the publications, and there were sports, just none of the IIAG reportings. But there were a couple of games, so if anybody has those in the meantime, in between time, pass them on. It was a high school boys volleyball, a whole round of it. So they lost to, well, you say they won, right? They bounced back. Okay, so that means that they beat JFK. Ukadu took on Notre Dame. Sanchez took on Southern. St. John challenged FD. St. Paul versus Guam High. And Teason took on GW. I wonder if Teason won, because they're riding that hot streak. They're 8-0 after beating the Harvest Eagles, and looks like they laid it all on the line yesterday evening. For that, high school girls soccer also rolled on, and Harvest will play St. John. Man, that's 3 games in a row, right?
Is it?
Yeah, so they'll play again tonight. Just on the docket for this evening for IIAG High School Boys Volleyball. Harvest, again, flying over to the St. John campus to take on the Red Hot Knights at 5, and then St. Paul will swim down south to Ocean View to take on the Southern High Dolphins in IIAG boys volleyball.
There's some incredible action that is happening out there, and the thing is, these guys are training hard and they're learning as much as they can. You know, it's if you take a look at my YouTube feed, which is shared among the family, it's all volleyball stuff. It's just everybody is watching everything,
like little clinics.
Yeah, like that, or just watching how other guys play and pick up in different teams from college teams and Hawaii and all of that, just to look for pointers and things like that. Really interesting things that is happening with youth volleyball, especially youth volleyball in this town. I think that's awesome. Now, you were talking about Boston Marathon numbers. I talked a little bit about some of those yesterday, so I know that some of the elite runners that are associated with Guam did outstanding. Pat Silveria, what was his time?
3 hours, 19 minutes, 25 seconds. Cam O'Neill's, I'm sure you went over yesterday because they were the top 2. Him and Charlie Epperson. We'll start with Cam, 3 hours, 14 minutes and 1 second, and then Charlie Epperson finished 2 hours, 38 minutes, and then rounding it out is Ashlyn Perez with 3 hours and 23 minutes.
Her dad used to be the guy that ran DPW, and her mom used to be one of the ladies that ran things over at GCC. And so I've actually run. We've trained together.
Really?
Aishalyn and I have actually trained together.
Oh, I'm sorry, Aishalyn. I didn't see the Y.
Yeah,
okay.
I didn't see the Y.
Aishalyn. Yeah.
It's tough to train with somebody that is so small and lightning fast as her. So if you just try to keep up, it will help you with your marathon times. And in fact, I think the year that we did, that was when I PR'd at like 4:27 or something like that in the Honolulu Marathon. And I attribute that to training like a monk and then training with Aishalyn and just trying to keep up with her as we were doing these 18, 19-mile slogs back in those days.
That was your bar? She was your bar?
I just want to finish in the same half hour as her, and that would make me very, very happy. It should make everybody happy. The Guam Running Club has got their 50-miler and 48.6 relay that's going to be taking place this weekend. I think the time has elapsed for you to sign up, and I know that there is a captain's meeting that's going to be taking place tonight. Go to their website or download the app or go to Guam Running Club on Facebook, and Quacky has all of the information. Elaine Kwok has all of the information that you need, or find Manny, or any number. Richard I'll be happy to tell you what you need to do. As I said yesterday, they asked me to volunteer, and if they're asking for me to volunteer, they must be desperate. So if you've got some time and want to spend all day with some of Guam's elite runners, then this is the place to do that.
Definitely check them out. And also wanted to keep with the same running thing in Boston Marathon. Mary, I don't know if you saw this story, Schertenlieb, out of the Boston Marathon. She was a participant and a runner and a leukemia survivor, Ray. She was raising money for a cancer hospital. She was running at mile 15 of the Boston Marathon when conditions got so bad she had to stop. Now, she was at mile 15, started shivering, went to a medical tent with purple lips thinking she had hypothermia, rested for a little bit, called her husband Rich, who, by the way, is Rich Schertenlieb, co-host of Toucher and Rich on the Boston Sports Talk radio station, WBZ, called him over to the tent. Joined forces. He was a little inspiration to her. She and her husband crossed the finish line together, Ray.
Oh, nice.
At 12:18 a.m. She raised $33,000 for cancer research and finished the Boston Marathon.
That's the way to do that. That's how if you're not one of these super fast runners and can do it under 3 hours and 35 minutes, which in some cases is the cutoff. That's how you get into the Boston Marathon. You pledge a certain amount of money into a charity, and that's how you do it. WBZ, for those of you that were listening to the Super Bowl here here on The Point back in February.
Same one.
It's the same radio station that we hooked up with so that they could bring us live coverage. So if that's how we managed to get all of that stuff. Then so very, very cool stories, and you will from time to time hear about those heroic moments where somebody might. Now, what was it? Was her husband already dressed up for running? Did he have his shoes on?
She actually, he was monitoring her. You know what I mean? And she called him, and he actually suggested, I guess because he does the morning show. So I think he actually suggested, like, hey, why don't you come home, put on a new pair, I'm warm shower, put on some warm pajamas. It's Boston, it's cold, and just you did good. She was like, no. So he was like, okay. He came out there, and they finished together.
Very, very nice stories. 8:22 in the morning. There's plenty of stories like that out in the World Wide Web and on the gizmos. But I wanted to share with you, and it'll take me just a second to call up the website. There are people out here that are looking for jobs. My friend Ken on Facebook says he's looking for an environmentally, an EPA-rated, what are you looking for? A bug guy, a certified pest management technician. Yeah, I had it right the first time. A bug guy, a Guam EPA certified pest management technician. But there is another outfit, and I only bring this up because we're just a bunch of guys here at the radio station, and a significant portion of our lives center around getting and eating and then enjoying bacon. In the Guam Daily Post today, there is an advertisement for, well, it take me just a second to get to it, Cloverdale. And the ad says, join our team. Job opportunities include quality assurance, sanitation, production, maintenance, and working in the warehouse. Benefits, competitive wages, health, dental, and vision insurance, wellness incentives, on-the-job training, paid time off, day-night shifts, and a 401k with the Cloverdale Foods Company. There is no Cloverdale Foods Company here on Guam. Cloverdale Foods is one of these conglomerate organizations that are out there, and among their products, and they don't have too many, they make Franks and brats,
tangy summer sausage,
ham, and bacon.
Meat candy.
Meat candy. I thought you were going to do that one. And bacon. This is the kind of place you could probably talk 50% of us in this room to work for free.
Yeah.
You can keep your 401s and your on-the-job training and your wellness incentives. I'd just like to be able to take a whole lot of product home. You can pay me in trade. What do you say? So they're having a job fair.
Trade.
And this is the fun part. They're looking for guys from here to go and work there. Now, I don't know where there is, and I don't know whether they're going to pay for transportation, room and board, lodging, and all of that stuff. I'll leave that to you to go find out.
Ooh.
But a chance to meet a representative on the 20th and through the 23rd, 20th and 23rd at the American Job Center, and on April 25th from 9 to 2. They're looking for a lot of people apparently to get involved in this at the University of Guam Field House. They're going to have a job fair at the field house for people to go and work someplace that makes bacon.
When is this?
I told you, at least 50%. The job fair at American Job Center is April 20th and 23rd. On the 25th, from 9 to 2 at the University of Guam Calvo Field House is when they're going to be doing it.
All right, well, I'm just going to give, so everybody, good luck. If you are definitely unemployed and you need the luck and you need the funds and you need the job, good luck. But I'm going to give you a little background just so you know what you're getting into.
Thank you.
Cloverdale Foods started back in 1915 by a dairy farmer, Hoy Russell. And he started it he started the Mandan Creamery in Mandan, North Dakota. So that's why we're doing this, guys.
Mandan.
So if you want to go try bacon for a living, know that they're probably going to relocate you to North Dakota. And looking at the weather right now, 43 degrees is their high, folks. Today, on April 18. Their low's 30. It's snowing, by the way, and looks like the warmest it's going to be all week. I'm looking at a crisp 64 degrees on Sunday with snow flurries in the forecast and a low of 37.
I ain't high, I'll tell you that, man. I don't feel nothing, man.
But there's bacon and tangy summer sausage. Now, where can we buy Cloverdale on Guam? Have you ever seen any of this stuff in the stores?
I've never noticed. I mean, maybe it's there, but I've never, taken notice. I just buy whatever's on sale.
Mike Benito from Payless. See if we can get him up. I want to find out where we can find Cloverdale. If we can't find him, call the lady over at Cost You Less and see if we can find out. Because I've obviously had bacon before,
right.
And frankly, it doesn't matter who manufactures manufacturers of it. Bacon's pretty much bacon, but I've never had tangy summer sausage before, and it would be interesting to see what their Franks and brats look like for the next time. For the next time, Carl Gutierrez has another big get-together.
They have flavors I've never seen. So they have their peppered bacon, which is just a peppered slab of bacon. They have applewood and hickory, but they have chipotle garlic bacon, which I've never seen or heard of.
You may not want to go take that job, because then you'd find out what goes into it. You know what I mean?
The making of the sausage, they always warn. It's 8:28 in the morning. Blake's got to go back next door over in Star 101 and do that morning show thing. So you handle that. Make sure everybody shows up at the big upcycle thing that's happening this weekend. We got
shared
headlines.
it on my Facebook. Check me out on Facebook, Blake Watson. All 2 words.
The important thing to know. 8:28 in the morning. Headlines with Kevin Kerrigan next.
Rain. It's nature's way of cleansing the earth. Yet by the time that rainwater makes its way to your home, it may not be exactly the same as nature created it. A Connecticut water treatment system can improve the quality of the water you and your family drink and use throughout your home, so you can be sure your water is clear, clean, and fresh, just as nature intended it to be. Connecticut, for refreshing ideas on water.
American Water Tech. Smarter water, better water. Call American Water Tech, 649-2301, or email info@americanwatertech.com.
All right. I'm sorry, I got to do traffic now, but I really want to take a look at what they got to do in North Dakota at certain times of the year. I'll get around to doing that right now. You're going to get stuck in traffic if you're around Route 10, as the man said, around Pacific Tire. Looks like there's an accident working through there, and it seems to be snagging traffic from about where is this starting to back up? I got Mangilau Payless. It's starting to back up through there. You'll make it through the intersection, then you'll see more of a backup as you make your way up Vietnam Veterans Highway on Route 10. Also affecting traffic moving towards Route 4 and towards the Payless in that direction. Other places you might see a snag here working this morning in front of, is that Cars Plus? Making your way through, no, just past southbound as you make your way to the mighty McMobile. Anything else that's worth warning you about? Nothing I can see. If you hear something, if you see something, 888-8255. Headlines with Kevin next.
Every time I travel, there's something from home that I can't leave without. I take my Docomo Pacific Data to Go to share my stories in Taiwan, check subway routes in Tokyo, be my food guide in Hong Kong, meet new friends in the Philippines, make updates in the States, find my way around Korea, and check out all the cool shows in Singapore. It's the data I have in all the places I love for only $10 a day. Data to Go from Docomo Pacific. Better together.
Now, what could be Cloverdale, right? And guys, they're looking for people from around here that want to learn sausage-making technology and how to make different flavors of bacon and all of that. And you're going, but it's in North Dakota, according to Blake. What is there to do in North Dakota? Apparently, this time of year, freeze your hiney off and shovel snow. But when you're not doing that, in the parent 2 weeks where there's no snow in North Dakota, you can go to Nakoma and see the Pyramid of North Dakota, the remnants of an early American attempt at missile defense. At Regent, North Dakota, the Enchanted Highway Sculptures. And it's just, there's a big iron grasshopper or something like that through there. Jamestown is the home of the legendary albino buffalo. And apparently the Cloverdale people haven't gotten their hands on this because it's still alive, and they haven't turned it into sausage. There's the Ronald Reagan Minuteman Museum. No, we don't need that. The Fargo wood chipper from the movie Fargo. No! You remember when they trying to get rid of the bodies, they stuck them in there? Tentpole monument to the circus dead and the Pyrotechnics Guild international convention that takes place in what they call the Hidden North Dakota on the Atlas Obscura guide that you can go on the World Wide Web. I wonder if they have a thing on Guam on the Atlas Obscura guide. I'm going to look that up while Kevin's doing the headlines that we got to do right now. Kevin Kerrigan from the Guam Daily Post, his last look at heads.
Half a day and good morning. Guam News Time here at The Point is 33 minutes past 8 a.m. In the headlines from the Guam Daily Post this morning, Guam Memorial Hospital may have to self-fund upgrades to its maternity ward after it failed to acquire financial backing. The $9.2 million cost for the maternity ward project was included in the hospital's fiscal year 2019 budget, but last week a request to waive an interim financing requirement was denied by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Guam Economic Development Authority Administrator Jay Rojas says there are two options now. GMH could self-fund the $9.2 million as interim financing and then have USDA refund the amount after the project is done, or GIDA could get interim financing through a third request for proposal. Guam Solid Waste Authority will conduct an evaluation before imposing any new fee increases when they eventually take over operations from the federal receiver. Board Chairman Andrew Gale telling lawmakers yesterday that once GSWA management takes over, they'll evaluate operational expenses and determine what the proper rates should be going forward. Current tipping fee rates were set back in 2009, and they generate about $18 million in annual revenue for the Solid Waste Authority. 40-year-old Ded Detor is in custody on allegations that he sexually assaulted a 7-year-old girl. According to the magistrate's complaint, the alleged incident occurred during a party at a Dedeto home on March 11th. The victim told police she was in pain and began to cry. Detor has been charged with first-degree criminal sexual conduct with a special allegation of committing a crime against a vulnerable victim. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
Did you know that this is an interesting website? I was looking for the hidden gems of North Dakota. They have a bunch of the pages for Guam is in here. There are some things here on Guam that show up in the Atlas Obscura website. Interesting places off the beaten path. Would you like to hear them?
Fire away.
Anderson Air Force Base, they describe it as the launch pad for the U.S. military's dead mouse operations to battle millions of snakes. That's the one where they take the mouse and they put an aspirin in it, and then they take it out and they fly around and bomb basically the jungle with these dead mice that have aspirin in it. And when the snake eats the aspirin, it's toxic to it and it kills them. There are some people that believe that this is having a major impact. Anybody that has found a snake in their yard or their house or their fence recently thinks it's all hogwash and it isn't working. There's Gadau's Cave down in Inarahan, located on Guam's southern shore, the small cave named for the ancient and powerful Chamorro chief. Yokoi's Cave, the underground hideout of a Japanese soldier for whom World War II ended in 1972 as opposed to 1944. And finally, and I'm with them on this. I'm with him. Kevin had to leave, so he's not going to. Kevin's not going to be able to hear this, sadly, but you will. Emerald Valley, and I've never referred to it as Emerald Valley, but from time to time, we will run or ride our bikes down at the port. So we'll go in there, and you got the old U.S. over here, and you ride your bike yonder, and then you get around this bend, and there is a water inlet there. And it is the most beautiful emerald color. It is crystal clear. There are signs there that say no swimming, but from time to time, you might see a couple of people swimming in there. When I was a little kid learning to swim at USO, we all went in that channel once upon a time, and I was freaked out by the whole thing because it's a lot deeper than it looks, number one, and number two, they got these little sea urchins with the little pokey things on them that scare the hell out of me. So I jumped in and said, "Oh, look at me, I'm swimming in here. Okay, jump out," because I didn't want to be anywhere near those things. But it is still one of the. I always stop whenever I'm running through their training marathons or whatever. I always stop and just enjoy that emerald water that they've got there. It's a joy to behold, and I'm glad that is the number one most bizarre Atlantis Obscura place on Guam. iConnect time in the studio. It's 8:37. Connect longer for less with iConnect's push-to-talk mobile and internet plans.
Hafaday, my name is James Moylan, and I'm running for a seat as your senator. The people of Guam expect more from their leaders, and I intend on delivering. If given the opportunity, I will bring my experiences in the military, public, and private sectors. I understand that during challenging times, tough decisions and an open mind are needed. Your tax dollars also need to be spent wisely. If you expect more from your elected officials and expect them to think outside of the box, then I humbly ask for your support this November. Thank you.
Paid for by the committee to elect James Camacho Moylan for senator. Carlos Camacho, Treasurer.
Good plan. Wendy's has got your new smoky mushroom bacon cheeseburger. Smoky sauteed portobello mushrooms, melted Asiago cheese, crispy applewood smoked bacon, maybe by the Cloverdale Company. Imagine the treat it would be. The pride that you would have in your work at the Cloverdale place, and you're making applewood smoked bacon there, knowing that it would be destined for my mouth. Just there could not be any greater privilege. Crunchy fried onion tangles atop a juicy, beefy patty. It's here for a limited time only at Wendy's. Now that's better.
In illness and in wellness, Calvo's Select Care is health care that is there for you. That's why over 80% of the Guam medical community places their trust and insures with us. We offer our members wellness and fitness programs for a healthier lifestyle and provide a comprehensive medical network on and off island to help members from unexpected illnesses. Contact Calvo's Select Care today for more information.
Yeah. Getting a lot of words. Accident, Manila, right after Pacific Tire. That's spelled with a Y. It is affecting what people are referring to as northbound traffic. As I said, when I last looked at this, it looked like it was starting to snag people up over at the Payless and the Pizza Hut. That's thinning out a little bit as traffic seems to be moving through there a little bit better. But you'll make that turn into the University of Guam, and then it will snag up again. It won't clear up until after you get there. Traffic moving in the opposite direction seems to be working well at this time. Looks like we got a little bit of a slowdown in front of the Guam International Airport. No surprise there for this time of day, and the intersection at, is that Fatima Mobile over there that I'm talking about? No, Harmon Loop Hotel. There it is, making your way towards the Animal Medical Clinic. Looks like we've got a little bit of a slowdown on that inbound travel lane. Anything else? No, I think that's about it. Sorry, it all depends on whether I'm scooching or unscooching the weather gizmo, the traffic gizmo, based on what I can see. 20 away from 9 o'clock in the morning. That's right now traffic on the point.
With the largest inventory of rental equipment on Guam, East West Rental Center is sure to have the tool you need to get your job finished quickly. From equipment rental, party rental, parts and service to used equipment, East West Rental Center has what you need. Call East West Rental Center at 646-1463 or visit them online and browse through their online rental catalog at eastwestrental.com. They're located in Upper Tumon, right across St. John's School. East West Rental Center, providing the island of Guam with quality equipment rentals since 1972.
Ray Gibson Show on the point, and still fascinated with this AtlasObscura.com website. We were talking the other day, have been talking for a couple of days about it's a disaster for Rota, friends. We've got United that says, okay, we're going to discontinue our relationship with Cape Air, and we're going to fly jets up to Saipan like was done in the old days. There were a lot of people asking for that. A lot of people asking for it. And the deal is you got to be careful, with what you ask for, with what you wish for, because you just might get it. And so there's a jet airplane that will take you on daily service between Guam and Saipan up in the CNMI. And in going to the jet aircraft, that has eliminated the stop to Rota. And the people of Rota are freaking out because they were just starting to enjoy, having access to people that were coming in and out. They had the Rota Coffee Festival and all of that. And woe is them unless, and I got my fingers crossed that Cape Air may be under their own power, might be able to continue this business between Guam and Rota, and Guam and Tinian, and even Guam and Saipan. Because the flights that United's going to be going up with, it's just once a day. You get up there, you leave at 7 o'clock in the morning, and they turn that plane around, and they bring everybody that they put up there the day before on the 8 o'clock flight back to Guam. So if you're going to Saipan on that airplane, unless you intend to be in the airport for about 5 minutes, this is an overnight trip. And there are going to be some people for whom their business will not be of an overnight nature. Might be people that say, I gotta go pick up the money. I gotta go talk to the lawyer. I gotta go and install this. Why do I need to stay there all night? And so you might like to have an option where you fly up on United with the jet airplane in the first class and fly back down on Cape Air. Could happen. Could happen. There's I think, a definite opening. But on this Atlas Obscura site, there are some interesting attractions there. So as we were talking about this, I thought it would be a great time to convince the people over at United that they needed to bring the entire morning show here up on the Point to go and enjoy a live broadcast there, movers and shakers, headline makers in the CNMI, and learn a little bit more about some of the big attractions, and maybe not the not so big attractions to Saipan and the Northern Mariana Islands. Taga Beach at San Jose, nice place. The House of Taga in Tinian, right? You been there? I spend hours walking around and imagining how it was that the ancient Chamorros were able to do what they did there. And then a little further up the street, the atomic bomb loading pits. And you need to explain to the young people the role that the Marianas played in the end of the Second World War, and how Fat Man Little Boy and the bombs that were delivered to Hiroshima and Nagasaki left from about an hour's airplane ride from here. There's the old Japanese jail up in Garapan, the old Japanese lighthouse at the top of the mountain there. I've never been there. And the place that holds a great deal of fascination for me, because I loved going there. This would be in the middle of the 1990s, when there was explosive growth up in Saipan, maybe even more explosive than here. It seemed to me there was construction all over the place. It used to be one of our favorite things to do, because you could get on an airplane, a jet airplane to Saipan for $75 round trip. You remember those days? And you stay at La Fiesta, or you'd stay, what was the Plumeria in Susupi. And then you have breakfast downstairs at, I'm going to forget the name. And you'd get in the rent-a-car or bum a ride from somebody, and then you'd go to the La Fiesta Mall. It was right across from the Nico Hotel there. Do you remember that? And the La Fiesta was kind of an indoor-outdoor mallsy kind of thing that was going on. And then the bottom fell out of the economies, and people stopped going there, and they tried to pass it along to the folks in the community college and see if they could make a go of it, but it didn't make it. So it is just an abandoned mall up in Saipan, but it still captures a lot of the imagination. At least it does for me. And some great memories. I used to have, I might still have it, a watch that I bought from there that never worked. Maybe that was the sign. Maybe that was the sign. Anyway, 8:45 in the morning. Just a couple of thoughts, random things that are going on in my head. Let me quickly check the Facebook Live and see what everybody's going on about over on Nut. I was talking about Cloverdale. Still can't find anybody from Cloverdale to hang out with me on the radio and talk about where I might be able to find it. Do we have it at cost you less? Do we have it at pay less? No? Where have you seen it? You're smarter than me. You get out a little bit more. Emmett and Tanya Affligui Conception, watching from Mountain Home, Idaho. Sending a warm half-a-day greeting out to Guam, and we'll send some warm half-a-day in your direction because I'm sure it's cold. Tommy Aguero says Big Bacon with Cloverdale might be following the lead that Tyson Chicken has. Tyson Chicken has for years been hiring immigrant workers from Micronesia to go and work in the Tyson Chicken plants. I don't know how well known it is or how little known it is, but it's kind of a big deal out there. And they seem to do very well. And they kind of bring the community and the spirit with them to those places. So it might be that Big Bacon might be doing the same thing. Yes, large communities of Federated States of Micronesians brought in to do the factory work there. John Bullwinkle referring to a story that we ran in the headlines, GMH asking for $9.2 million more. Actually, they're not. If I understand the story right, they want to build a maternity ward. And there are things that you can do if you can get the loans and you can get the GITA guarantees and all of that. But in this case, they haven't found anybody that would front them the money. So the idea would be if you guys can build it, if you can find $9.2 million and then build it, then we can guarantee the loan after that. But as things go over at the Guam Memorial Hospital, I don't know. That might be a little bit tricky. Might be a little bit tricky. And then there's the rest of it. So good morning to Bob Kelly. Therese Matanani is online watching the program. Emmett and Tanya are there as well. No, I don't want it to do that. Hold on. There's more. Theseus Mendiola, Dave Duenas. Saw him yesterday over at the barbecue. Levon Guerrero Menu, Natalie Canata, Big Sister Shelley is there. Hafaday Eric So, good to have you there. Clint James, Ray Souza, listening long distance. Susan out in Las Vegas, listening long distance. Yuka Hechanova in Agania, listening I guess not long distance from there. Bobby Shringy, Brad Rizala. Hey, Brad, good to see you there. Ed and Karen Untalan, and the usual suspects that are online with us this morning. It's great to have you guys there. And as usual, as I say, I'm here, and I'm really glad you're there. Some of the big stories that we were talking about, and there's I got an interview lined up next hour with the guys from MRE. And the reason why they are here is because and it's all timely. Because they're going to be getting together between the Power Authority, the CCU, GP, Guam Public Utilities, and Micronesia Renewable Energy. They're all getting together because they have to answer a question, and it's a question that becomes a report that you will find nationwide. And it's the value of solar report. And in this case, it's a value of solar and storage. And lucky enough to get an advanced copy of the report that goes out to these guys. And the idea is, and it's the utilities trying to get together and working out an arrangement along with Public Utilities Commission on Utilities, working out an arrangement on how to treat people that have solar electricity, that generate their own solar power. And the conversation moves through the concept of net metering, where if I am generating more solar electricity from the panels on my roof than I am using in my home, I should be able to sell that to a utility. A utility looks at it and says, well, gee, that's nice, and we can talk about what we would buy that electricity with you from. And then there's the conversation about what does the utility charge people that are on the solar system. Because the solar guys will say, I shouldn't pay as much because I'm generating my own electricity. And the power companies are saying, yeah, and that's good for when you're actually making and using your own electricity. That's wonderful. But at night, when the sun goes down and you're not drawing electricity from there, you're actually taking electricity from our grid, and you should pay at least as much as the people that are already paying electricity that don't have any solar panels on their roof. And these guys are saying, no, that should not be the case because I've made the investment in my equipment and in my personal infrastructure. I am helping you avoid all kinds of costs. You don't need to build additional power plants because me and all of my solar buddies are already in this game. You don't need to build, and you don't need any of the additional regulatory stuff. You don't have to worry about the environmental issues because I'm not a part of your system, and so and I'm not paying any of those environmental fees, so I should be allowed kind of a discount on that. And there are other of these cost avoidance benefits that are out there. So you find a company like Clean Power Research, and you have them look at all of these benefits, and their goal is to try to figure out what your benefit as a solar person is to the utility and what benefit you are to the utility as a result of all of the solar that you're putting up there. Recognizing, of course, that it's not just you, it's all of the other solar folks. So as the system grows, there's a little bit more of a bigger conversation that we need to have. This was interesting about 3 years ago, and they kind of tabled it and said, well, let's wait until we've got some data to look at. Well, there's data to look at now, and we'll talk about that data with the guys that put it together, how it came to be, and I will tell you. I'll tell you this: you want to stay close to the phone, radio. You try not to be too distracted. I know sometimes I'm kind of a buzz going on in the background, and you tune in and when you hear something that is relevant, but try to lean into this conversation because it is a little bit complicated. I know a little bit more than the average bear does about it, but in reading this report and going over some of the mathematics and the spreadsheets and the tables involved, it can be a little bit complicated, and we need to avoid complication because, as you know, and as the guys over at the Power Authority know, solar is the way to go. They're putting new solar infrastructure in all the time. And I think we need to encourage solar infrastructure at the personal level, at the home level. So if you've been thinking about it, and maybe you have, Maybe it's crossed your mind, and maybe this was one of those issues that you thought might need to come up. It's come up, and it's here, and we'll talk about it early into the next hour of the program. The only other things that I've got to tell you about in this part before I get into the full-blown small talk version of the show, delight to see my brother-in-law, Phil Tyron, on the front page of the Guam Daily Post talking about the ways that drug smugglers are getting creative. You know, it's amazing and we talk about this for every one that we catch. Imagine how many are being able to sneak through the system one way or the other. What's the ratio on that? How do you figure out the ratio on this? And the guys in the Fed are saying, listen, they're getting more creative, so you've got to get more creative. He's talking about, well, it's easy for us to get creative. We're just as smart as these guys, but we need more smart guys on our sides in uniforms, and we need them in a lot of different places. So I anticipate that number, visitor arrival numbers, the visitor costs to support them are probably going to be going up. BJ's already said he will. He just needs a little bit more justification and maybe streamlining of that process. But it's just weird to have this conversation where the first thing out of the guy's mouth is, check the bodies, check the corpses. Ew. Can I just say, ew. I've never been much of a drug guy. I've never been...
It shows you to what lengths people will go through to get this stuff.
Oh my God! Yeah. But what ghouls? What absolute ghouls? Here, I'm going. It's just somebody's mother, brother, sister, father, son, daughter that is in a casket, in their final repose, and in the little places underneath the casket might be some place where somebody has shoved some methamphetamine or cocaine or marijuana or what. Blah. I don't, if it's a relative, I might lean in and get a little bit close, but if it's a total stranger, that's just ghouls at work there. There ought to be some disturbing of a grave, additional crime that gets pegged onto these guys that are smuggling drugs in with caskets and corpses. And then is the other one where and they've been doing it this way for a long time. There are movies that you can watch where they go through this process and they eat this and they body cavity searches. I'm sorry. I don't want to imbibe anything that has gone through somebody else's digestive system, even if it was only in there for a little bit. I don't want any of that. Here, let's smoke this. It came out of my friend's butt. What? No, we're not smoking that. I'm not going to. I don't know. I do know where it's been. I'm not going anywhere near that.
I don't even have a sound for that.
There's no sound effect for that.
No,
but it's like the people who spend money on that coffee that comes out of civet cats,
Yeah.
And then that's supposed to be some kind of a big deal. Here you want this. It's that much rarer because a civet cat ate it and pooped it out, and I don't even know if they wash that stuff down. It's just pull it out, and then we're going to roast it up a little bit more. We're going to make coffee out of this, and you coffee snobs are going to pay a lot of money for it. Let me just tell you this about that. I've got a little bit of knowledge, a little insight into the coffee game. You don't if you see somebody offering civet coffee, don't buy it. It's cruel what they do to these animals in order to make them eat the coffee beans and then poop them out. It's not a happy life. This is not a natural thing for these animals. They're being force-fed all of this coffee, and they're basically using them to manufacture this high-end blah, right? That and they tell me it isn't much better in Folgers. So just roll out there and buy a thing of Folgers and pretend that you're being a coffee snob and it came out of the civet cat. And then more recently, although I don't know that there's any way that you can force an elephant to do anything, but there is an elephant poop coffee that's out there. I told you about that when we first started the show in February. It's kind of a new thing, and there are industries that are coming up. They tell me that this one is a lot more environmentally friendly, a lot more animal friendly. Although I can imagine that the elephants are a little bit more hyper after the treatment. So I'm just saying, if It's never smart to get involved in drugs, I think. I think it's even less smart to get involved in drugs that you might be putting in your mouth or near your nose or near your family that came out of somebody's butt. I think that's where we draw the line on things that I'm going to use to get high with, to take the edge off the day, right? You roll up on the bar, you order a beer, and you ask, has this been in anybody's butt? And the answer is no. It's never been there. And so I'm happy drinking it.
At least you're hoping so. If so, that was one wild party.
Has that gone through anybody's digestive system? If the answer is no, then there's a very good chance I might enjoy it. So there you go. And then the last thing, while we're talking about cop stuff and crime, kudos to the officers. Sharp eyes, guys. You're doing exactly what I want to see. You're doing pullovers and you're doing investigation of guys that look suspicious, and you know what I'm talking about. They got a couple of guys and parked over here or driving just a little bit funny. Pull them over. Pull them over. And you know what kind of car you're looking for. You know what kind of drivers you're looking for. They're either on their way from or heading to some place where a crime is going to be committed. It's basic police work, and I hope you got good evidence lined up on these guys. And I hope that they don't get in, what is it, Socola's courtroom or Vern's courtroom? Because otherwise they'll come up with some kind of sob story and get released. Yeah. So these are the guys that, in a couple of cases, probably need to get deported as well.
Except for me. Don't pull me over.
No.
He
just looks like that.
Yeah, I look like I walk that fine line, but really I'm a straight and narrow.
And I'm here to vouch that his is not a stolen vehicle. It might look like it was a stolen vehicle or used in a commission of a crime, but I'm here to tell you it's not. He's a good guy. Just leave him alone. And maybe if we get a little bit more time, I don't know, maybe a conversation that is also coming in from another story that Kevin was talking about, how the reviews are coming in social media. All around, and what the reviews are saying, many of them, is that Guam is a dump. Huh? Am I putting too fine a point on that? Guam is a dump. There are places where people are going under the guise of tourism that look awful, smell awful, are awful. And they're trying to tell us something. This is why the numbers are going down, guys. And there's ample, as they said in the GAO report, opportunities for improvement. Maybe we can spend some time on that in the next hour of the program as well. It's 9 o'clock on KUSG. Have got you. We are The Point. Fox News Live coming up. And then after that, the value of solar and storage in Guam from the Clean Power Research folks.
A deadly accident on a commercial flight. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. Federal investigators heading to Philadelphia to try to determine what caused an engine on a Southwest flight to explode. The plane bound for Dallas from New York made an emergency landing in Philly. Fox's Colonel Scott has more live.
Lisa, the National Transportation Safety Board is leading the look into what caused the engine to break apart, mandating the diversion. Southwest Airlines CEO Gary Kelly did not identify the victim in this incident, but he has made an effort to lend the company's aid.
I have reached out to the family and at this point have not made contact.
Kelly says he is not aware of any issues with the plane or the engine, which was last inspected on Sunday. He added this was the first in-flight death in the carrier's history. Kelly says they are cooperating with federal investigators, Lisa.
Colonel, at the UN, the U.S. continues to call out Syrian leader Bashar al-Assad for blocking aid to his people.
More than ever, we need to focus on ensuring that this council's demand for a ceasefire and for unhindered humanitarian access actually get implemented on the ground.
Deputy U.S. Ambassador Kelly Currie. San Diego County voting to back a Trump administration lawsuit against a California law that limits police cooperation with federal immigration agents. Fox's Steve Rappaport has this live.
Lisa, the County Board of Supervisors voting 3-1 to file a brief in support of the lawsuit, but not right away. The move coming after community leaders in Los Alamitos approved an ordinance to exempt the small city in Orange County from the state's sanctuary city law. Earlier today, President Trump on Twitter criticizing California and Democratic Governor Jerry Brown for rejecting the federal government's initial plans for National Guard troops on the southern border. Two U.S. officials telling AP California balked because the troops' mission is too closely tied to immigration enforcement. The administration has yet to officially respond to California's conditions. Lisa?
Thanks, Steve. Fox News, fair and balanced.
So you want to buy a house, but you don't know how much you could borrow. So what do? Well, you come to Bank Pacific and get pre-qualified. Sit down with one of our home loan specialists and let us see how much we can lend you so you know how much you can spend on your new home. Bank Pacific, where we're open to closing your loan in a hurry.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal housing lender, conditions apply. Come pre-qualified today.
In illness and in wellness, Calvo's Select Care is health care that is there for you. That's why over 80% of the Guam medical community places their trust and insures with us. We offer our members wellness and fitness programs for a healthier lifestyle and provide a comprehensive medical network on and off island to help members from unexpected illnesses. Contact Calvo's Select Care today for more information.
President Trump talking the economy and trade with Japan's leader as they begin 2 days of talks. They're also discussing the official end of a conflict that began more than 65 years ago.
The president said that the U.S. has started to engage at very high levels with North Korea ahead of a much anticipated meeting between the president and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un.
We have not picked a site yet, but we've picked 5 sites where it's potentially going to be. We'll let you know fairly soon.
South Korean President Moon Jae-in and Kim are set to hold a summit on April 27th, a summit the president says has his blessing, including talks to officially end the Korean War. President Trump said his meeting with Kim will likely take place in early June. At the White House, John Decker, Fox News.
The Supreme Court hearing arguments about whether Internet merchants need to collect sales tax regardless of their location. The lawsuit filed by South Dakota has the backing of about 3 dozen states.
Nobody likes to pay more than they need to when they're buying something, and for years that is what made shopping online so attractive, in part because a lot of Internet retailers don't charge sales tax. So that's why you can find items online for a little bit cheaper than you can at a physical store. So while that's good for us as customers, that can mean billions of dollars in lost tax revenue for the states. And the reason online retailers can do this is in 1992, the Supreme Court ruled that businesses can only be forced to collect sales tax in states they have a physical presence in. Now, South Dakota is asking the Supreme Court to overturn that precedent to create a level playing field for all businesses.
Fox's Garrett Tenney. Pearl Jam touring this summer, but only in 4 cities. One of the stops, the tiny town of Missoula, Montana, where they plan to give a portion of ticket proceeds to 4 Montana organizations that support youth and Native American voting. Lisa Lacera, Fox News Radio.
One person's trash can be another person's treasure. Instead of discarding unwanted clothes, tools, or appliances, try selling or donating them. This aids in reducing waste and preventing usable items from going into landfills. But above all, you'll be helping others in need.
Catch more clean and green living tips every day and get inspired to make a cleaner, greener effort in your community. Happy Earth Month from the stations of Choice Broadcasting.
Brought to you in part by JV International Safety Equipment, located in the Harmon Industrial Park. Call 646-9524.
Hey, it's your stomach again. Subway has all new signature wraps, and around the water cooler, the other stomachs can't stop talking about them. Chipotle Southwest Steak and Cheese, Turkey, Bacon, and Guac, Rotisserie-style Chicken Caesar signature wraps. Listen, if I'm honest, as a talking stomach, I don't have a lot of life experience. But I do know one thing. These signature wraps are jam-packed with meat. So what are you waiting for? I'm growling over here. Subway, make it what you want.
I think we might end up doing that. 6 after 9 in the morning, coming up, a conversation about the value of solar, but a conversation about the value of Kings. You know, for 40 years, they have been having breakfast and lunch and dinner, even when it's not breakfast and lunch and dinner time for you and your families. Always open, always local. That's Kings.
Make it what you want.
Why pay for paper? Go paperless for $3 less. Move into e-billing and reduce your carbon footprint while enjoying an easier, faster, and more secure way to receive and view your bills. No more paper clutter or waiting for the mail. Go green and sign up today by checking out DocomoPacific.com or calling 688-CARE. Why pay for paper? Go paperless for $3 less. Docomo Pacific, better together.
For over 55 years, Community First has served our island as a full-service financial institution. And now, we're proud to introduce the new Community First Student-Run Credit Union, open in Manila on Route 10, Guam's first student-run financial institution, which means it's operated by college students like us, ready to serve all our members, existing and new. We're just down the road from UOG and GCC. Community First Guam Federal Credit Union, now open in Manila. This credit union is federally insured by NCUA.
The Ray Gibson Show. News to fill your mind. Talk to get it out. Turn it up. Now tell a friend.
6 after 9, Ray Gibson Show. This is The Point, and with me in the studio, although he's just taking pictures right now, Joe Rosario, and I got Ben Voicola. Sorry, Ben Voicola.
Best both worlds.
Yeah, it's just too many. Mr. Voicola from the MRE in the studio, and Ben Norris, who is, people asking, is there a relation? And the answer is?
Sure, he's my little brother.
Yeah, with Chuck Norris. And let me just kind of jump right into the conversation here. I had some time. I found an opportunity to read up a little bit on clean power research, and the gist of the company is to go out there and literally do some research and try to provide an equitable conversation between the needs and the demands of the utility and the needs and the demand of the growing solar and renewable community out there. You get guys that want to put a system up on their roof, and they go back and say, okay, great, and I got net metering, and I want to sell it back to the power company, and the power company says, no, we're not going to buy it from you. In fact, we're going to find a way to charge you more because of the what is it? How do I want to say this, Jeff? They're looking at ways to set aside solar customers and almost segregate them from the rest of the ratepayer community.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of states in the United States have done that, where what they do is they actually put a charge on solar energy customers.
Right.
I think it was Mississippi. It was started out there, I think, and it was $50. So if you're a solar energy customer, you would have to pay a charge for that to be still connected to the grid, and it started out to be a $50 charge.
And so it's the $50 charge on top of the regular power rate that they were drawing from the grid at the time.
That is correct.
And it has to do with the simple physics of it. We can't make solar electricity when the sun goes down.
Correct.
And so you say, all right, well, I'm not making solar electricity. I still got to get from the utility company, and the utility company says, oh, now we're important to you. Now you want to be attached to all of us. So what happens is a lot of public utilities commissions and state legislators, I'm sure, and the utilities are trying to figure out what the most equitable bet is going to be so that the utilities don't necessarily suffer, and the people that have taken the time, trouble, and expense of putting solar systems on their roofs can also experience some kind of benefit from this as well.
Yeah, and that was really the whole point of us doing the study.
Yeah, because we don't want to kill the industry. I mean, it's a blossoming industry. It's jobs and manufacturing.
And then on the flip side of that, we don't want to burden the utility, especially being on Guam, because it's an non-interconnected utility. And at the end of the day, we're all ratepayers, we're all stakeholders. We're going to have to pay that burden anyway. So the report really was to. And it's a very impartial, unbiased report. Even though Micronesia Renewable Energy paid for the report, we had no say or influence in the outcome of that report.
Well, if you're curious, look up Clean Power Research. They do this all across the country. They're stock in trade. They're one of a handful of businesses that will conduct this kind of research. But where it got to me as I was reviewing, I want to say it was Minnesota's that I was looking at yesterday, and then I spent a little bit of time looking at the report that you generate for Guam. There are some components of these reports and things that you look at in determining what this kilowatt-hour rate could be back to the agency, back to the utility, and eventually for either what the ratepayer, what the solar payer is going to pay, and or what they can sell their power back to the utility for in those net metered places. So if you don't mind, Ben, just a little bit about what goes into the creation of a value of solar report.
Sure. So you said it exactly right. There's different components of value, if you will, and the value is defined by, well, what are the savings to the utility or to the island in this case? And The results can be used in different ways. So it can be used to set a rate, or it can be used to set policy, and there's various forms of how you use this type of information.
This is Chinese mathematics at the end of the day. This looks tough to get through.
It's a lot of calculations, but conceptually, every step of the way is fairly straightforward. And for example, one of the benefits that accrue to the island is that for every kilowatt hour that the solar system is producing and delivering to the grid, well, you back off on the amount of fuel that the utility has to consume and produce to generate the kilowatt hour.
So that's the big obvious ones. Go through some of the less obvious ones. Some of these avoided cost benefits.
Well, sure, and one of them, for example, is the benefit of weighted capacity. So by capacity, we mean either a generation capacity, that's the cost that the utility incurs to build large power plants and serve their customers. So to the extent that you're able to meet the peak load, and we're setting aside the energy, but simply the cost of being able to deliver that electricity when the usage is the highest. If you can show that your resource that sits on your property is supplying that power when it's needed, then you can effectively say, well, in the future, the utility will not have to purchase as much generating capacity.
So how much of density in terms of solar providers now? I'm trying to think of the nomenclature here. So 1, 2, 3, 4 people that have got these the solar panels on their roof and are preventing now the utility from having to create generation. How many more of us? What kind of density do we need of solar generators now before this starts making sense for a utility, say of our size?
Well, you don't need any. You can have one solar customer, and that's making a dent. It's only making a few kilowatts of dent.
But they still have to build 180 megawatts of generation up across the street from the hospital in the next couple of years.
That's right. That's right. So if you put in 100 megawatts of solar, well, then you're going to have to only put in 80 megawatts of the conventional resource.
So we're saving on the capacity. Then if we get enough people that are hooked on the solar thing often enough and using it and being able to displace some of what GPA would have to build, then that ends up being a good thing, and we can calculate that avoided cost into another kilowatt hour. Now where does that go? I'm looking at a couple of these things, and you can blend all of it so that we've got a number that becomes a total of all of the avoided costs. The avoided environmental, all of a sudden we don't have to worry about compliance on building another facility with the federal government because all of that additional voltage is coming from the rooftops, right? So it's not like another power plant that needs to get built and have to get blessed by the EPA. There are a few others that have to do with transmission and distribution, and a few others, as you point out, on just the fuel avoidance cost. So all of that gets added up, and what is that number then?
Well, the actual results that we calculated for Guam we're going to be presenting tonight at a meeting.
Oh no, how do we use that number? What does that number become? Is that the number that means that's what I would be paying GPA, or is that the number that they would discount for me on whatever my further kilowatt use from the utility is?
Right. So again, that number can be used in different ways. So in some utilities in the U.S. For example, they set up a special rate, and so every kilowatt hour that's generated is compensated at this so-called value of solar rate.
Yeah.
In other jurisdictions, they've decided, we're going to use that as a determination of whether the net metering program should be continued. So in other cases, they're just trying to generally see what all the potential social benefits are, and so if you have jurisdictions or state agencies that conduct these studies, they might want to look at more exotic kind of benefits that are a little difficult to pin down the social benefits.
Jeff, do me a favor. Update me on net metering. I mean, if I had a solar system up on the roof of the house and I was generating more electricity than I'm using, I'd know I can make the meter spin backwards. But is there a system in place for the power company to buy it from me now?
It is. So they put that into effect, I believe it was in 2016, Joe. So the PUC actually passed that. So anything at the end of the year, it used to just be rolled over. Well, at first they would just take the power.
Yeah.
So we always
Thank
felt
you
as
very
an
much,
industry,
yeah.
yeah, that was very unfair. So then they changed it where you could roll it over. Now they'll actually pay you for that power. And that is at the retail rate, which is net metering.
Okay, and so
whatever you're paying, you're actually getting reimbursed at the end of the year for whatever you know, on your bill it says reverse kilowatt hour, whatever that number is at the end of the year. It's a true up on month 13, and then you get a check in the mail.
All right, and how is that number figured? Right now it's based on the regular rate.
It is, which is almost 25 cents a kilowatt hour on the residential that we're seeing, and it's higher than that on the commercial end.
When we institute the findings of the value of solar, is that number expected to go up or down for your customers, other customers of the solar systems here?
Well, right now it's still on the net metering program, so that number will stay the same. You know, and us as an industry, we're always willing to work with the utility. You know, right now net metering is in place. We want net metering to stay.
Yes.
Of course, and then we're going to present the report tonight. But as an industry, we're always willing to work with the utility and find out, you know, as Ben mentioned, you know, this value of solar can be used to craft, you know, legislation, you know, with the utility and the industry.
Right, but and then everybody's got to get together on this. GPA, the solar community, the solar retailers and wholesalers here on Guam,
and the
public
stakeholders
utilities,
too, because you know they're bought into this too. You know, everybody on this island, you know, who pays a utility bill is a stakeholder and is an owner of GPA.
So most of the guys, especially the hobby guys, are probably not going to have a problem punching through some of the mathematics and the numbers and the way they're presented on this value of solar. And I keep referring to it as a value of solar, but it's value of solar plus storage.
Yeah, which is another component to it. And we really wanted that added into that because as we keep on talking about,
our batteries.
Yeah, I mean, our industry and even the new products that are coming out now in 2018 is just incredible. So in a very short time, and we've been saying this for a while, but technology is going up, efficiency is going up, pricing's coming down. So in a year or two, it's a game changer. In 5 years, well, probably sooner than 5 years, every solar energy system will be installed with storage.
Okay, and so how did that change the nature of this? Because as I said, I went to the website, took a look around, and most of the reports that I'd seen out of Clean Power Research were just value of solar. Is this something new for the company to start examining how the storage, how the capacitance of electricity, so that you don't necessarily have to go back to the grid as quickly as you might have before just because the sun went down? How is that changing the nature of the research and the numbers that you come out with?
Well, there's two reasons that we wanted to look at this. Number one is, as Jeff mentioned, storage is coming onto the scene very rapidly. And so it's just a lot of people are coupling solar and storage systems together. And so we're trying to make sense out of that and what the technology can bring. In the particular case of Guam, as we were talking, whatever system you have, you want to be able to support the load when the demand is highest. And on the island, that occurs after the sun goes down. So that's exactly what the storage would be able to provide you, is you can charge it up during the day, continue to serve some of your local loads behind the meter, but then in the evening, then you can dispatch that stored solar energy when it's needed most, when you're using it locally as well as delivering it to the grid.
So I'm sorry. The fuzzy part that I've got in my head here is I was thinking that I'd only ever need the battery storage, that kind of backup, if you will, to continue to run all of the low voltage, low amperage devices that I've got in the house. But what you're suggesting here is the kind of storage that is going to be available at the consumer level is still going to be sufficient enough to backfeed to the utility?
That's correct. And not even on the consumer level, right, at the point of attachment, but in New Hampshire, what they're doing is they just came out with an RFP for 300 homes. Now it's going to 1,000, where these residential dwellings are putting in battery storage. And now the utility is running that program. They're able to tap into that. So now it's a virtual power plant. Then now these 1,000 homes, when they need that peak load, they can actually pull that power out of storage. So it's incredible what's going on.
So that changes some of the other cost-benefit categories then. So the report that we have now that you'll be presenting this afternoon, and that's kind of the gist of this, is a little bit more of the media tour before we start making this actual presentation, is to show that not only are we prepared to have a conversation about where the industry is now, but where we could be in the future. And you using actual numbers and actual research. Tell me, how did that happen? Because I mean, where did you get the data to support this report?
Well, by and large, it came from GPA directly, and they provided, for example, the hourly loads, hour by hour over the course of the year. They provided the cost numbers for the types of generation they're looking at, including liquefied natural gas as well as diesel fuel. They provided the cost
Yeah,
forecast.
and I haven't even gotten there yet. I mean, this is an all-inclusive report. This ought to be able to be used for years to come because it does conceive ultra-low sulfur diesel fuel as well as the LNG. We're not quite in the LNG game, but that's going to change things up. So how is that going to affect the utility? And that's a question that gets answered in this.
That's right. And there's several scenarios that we look at. And those scenarios include solar only, solar plus storage. If we use the natural gas, if we use the ultra low sulfur diesel, there's different generation options and so on. So all of these are embedded in a few scenarios to consider all of them.
So without getting, because there's a little bit of a reveal that I know that you want to do when you're in front of the bodies that review this. Who are you going to be sitting with this afternoon?
Oh, at 4 o'clock it's going to be in the GPA conference room. So we're going to be sitting with the executives from GPA, CUC or CCU commissioners, PUC commissioners, and any stakeholders that want to attend.
Okay, and if you do want to attend this, be prepared to sit and listen to a little bit of. There's going to be industry jargon in here that you might not understand, and there might be some benefits that you weren't aware that exist. I thought the number of benefits, as I was looking at this, was a little bit low in comparison to some other systems that you've looked at, and recognizing that not every system is the same as the other one. But for example, did you look at operation and maintenance fixed cost? Did you look at O&M variable costs as you've done in other locations? Generation capacity, reserve capacity, transmission capacity, benefits, all of those things. I want to say that you only examined a few of those benefits moving through this report.
Well, you've done your homework, haven't you?
I tried.
So what we tried to do is focus on the very least controversial, meaning these benefits, they're very straightforward to plug and chug through these numbers. Some of the more controversial ones would be either benefits that don't accrue to the utility balance sheet directly. That are
social benefits,
societal benefits.
Yeah.
But they're real benefits, but they don't show up on your electric bill. They're not avoided costs in that sense. So, for example, if you go solar on the island, you're going to be producing more local jobs. And that's just a reality. There's some jobs that'll shift. If you look at this solar future, but by and large, it's going to help the island in that way. Well, we didn't include that.
You got maintenance guys, you got installers, you got technicians, you got vans that they have to drive around in, gasoline that they need to buy, insurance that you've got to collect. So that there are these other benefits that, as you point out, are not going to be something that the utility is going to see, but the overall community should benefit from.
Right, and they're not jobs for designing gas turbine blades because there is no island industry in that, right? So, but there are local jobs. So, but at the same time, that's not the purview of the electric utility. They're not here to ensure that the job count meets a certain number. So that's why we didn't include that one.
I see.
So there's benefits of that sort. So either we didn't include some of those just to be, again, we wanted to make this a conservative report that would be incontrovertible.
That makes it easier to move things through, so you don't have so many people shooting bows and arrows at some of your numbers and then questioning everything. How did you come up with this number? How do you come up with that number? So you can deal with that. But there is something, another one, a social integration benefit that I've seen on at least one or two of your reports. The Power Authority here is in public-private partnership arrangements with other outfits that are integrating larger scale, a base load scale, if you will, solar into the grid system out here with as many private individuals that might be consumers of this solar technology. It helps the utility avoid some of their solar integration costs as well, right?
Right. Well, one of the things that it's kind of a technical fine point here, but there's two ways to go with solar.
I imagine there's technical fine points on every page. I just haven't seen them all.
You bet. Well, There's sort of two approaches to installing solar. One is the large central station plants, and they provide, say, same amount of energy, if you will, per panel, but they're concentrated, and so when the cloud passes over them, you get a dip in the output, and then the cloud goes away, and you get a surge of power. And so there's these ramp rates that have become more of a concern when they're centralized and concentrated. But if you spread them across the island over many, many rooftops, and we see this in our data. In fact, well, that'll be one of the things that we present is we look at 9 systems. They're spread across the island. They're tilted in different ways, and you might get a cloud in one system, but it's not. But the other one's still available.
See, that's the gee whiz part. There are always times in a conversation, especially with solar, where you get into a little bit of a gee whiz conversation, where the cant of the solar panel actually makes a difference in what it does, and it's something that you can see from one system to the other, and calibrate into your data. I personally think that's very, very. There's an RPS, avoided RPS cost, and I couldn't find anything that would lead me to what RPS stood for.
Sure. So that's a renewable portfolio standard, and that's a common approach to ensuring that we improve the environment. So that the island has goals towards bringing more and more renewable sources on, and all states across the country all have different mandated standards. That's the percent of generation that's produced by either solar or in some cases wind or other sources. And so
we know what ours are here. I think I think JB has gone on the air multiple times and talked about this is how much we've got from this kind of generation. This is what we've got from solar. This is what we've got from the gas burners and all of that. Moving through some of the mathematics, so we assign a value, a kilowatt hour value to all of those benefits, right?
Yeah, and it's a small one, but it's essentially if you think of a kilowatt hour that comes from solar as having this renewable attribute. And so what we're saying here is that if you put in 1 kilowatt of solar, well, that's going to relieve the burden on the utility to install another kilowatt to meet that standard. So essentially, we're doing that. We're helping the utility meet these goals that have been set.
So this is not an arbitrary number. You go back to whatever the utility says a kilowatt hour is worth, and then you say this is what we're providing, and so they should match, right?
Sure. In fact, they even provided the number. This is what a PV power plant will cost them. It's $6.50 a watt. And that's the number we used.
And then that number on generation capacity cost gets multiplied against the load factor. You'll need to explain what a load factor is to me as well.
I think what you're referring to.
Load match factor.
Load match. Okay. So that is a way to fairly determine how well the matches between the output of this small power system at your house versus the demands of the island. And so in the case, what we find without the storage, for example, the solar is producing during the daytime hours, but it's not producing when you need it at the peak.
Right.
So it's going to provide those fuel benefits that we talked about, but not the capacity benefits. You can't count on it being there when the demand is highest.
Without storage.
Without storage. So that's why if you look at how we handled this, the storage scenarios include that benefit. And there's a match factor that depends on, well, how do you there's many ways to dispatch the storage and so on, and how much storage do you need and how do you operate it. But basically that's a number that allows you to quantify how well that match takes place.
And when we start talking about dispatching power from your solar system, it has to do basically with the kind of inverter that you have. And I can never remember the name of the inversion technology. It's a smart inverter. Basically, it says, in this case, I don't need to use any power from the power company, generating everything on our own, or I need power from the power company, and then the inverter will start drawing from the Guam Power Authority a little bit more of the amps in order to keep air conditioners and coffee makers and hot water heaters going, right?
Yeah, and that's a typical inverter. Some of the new battery inverters now, especially the new ones that are coming out, There's so many different functionalities that you can do with these inverters. It's just incredible.
Are they talking? And I thought I read it somewhere in the last couple of weeks that they're starting to talk about the intelligent inverters, and by intelligent I mean smart, like your new television. You can hook up to Hulu and Netflix and all of this stuff.
Yeah.
But we take these inverters, we hook them up to the internet. It becomes part of the Internet of Things, and then talks to a server device at the utility, and so the utility knows what's happening out in the field as it's occurring. So
Yeah.
it doesn't have to wait until it starts to see that dip in the voltage or the dip in the contribution because a cloud went over or it was raining in ORDOT. They can see it in real time as it happens, and then throttle other options in their smart systems.
Yeah, and that all depends on the utility SCADA technologies on their end. But coming down the road, you know, especially with this power plant, of course, we never agreed with the size, but we always agreed that they need a new baseload generation. But even with the new power plant, it should have all that, you know, built into that. And that's where I get into where with storage coming up, they should really even be able to draw that power off during peak time.
What's the primary advantage to ratepayers based on this report? Because at the end of the day, I still don't have a system on the roof, and so I want to make sure. But I don't want to stunt any of the other business, right? I want to make sure that the solar business continues. You hire people, you are paying taxes around here, and so you're contributing. I want to make sure that your business and businesses like yours continue to function around here. But from the ratepayer perspective, is this report going to provide quote equity to me so that the burden after somebody puts up a solar system is not necessarily going to fall on me?
Yeah, the way we do these calculations are simply to result in a numeric value in which the utility would be indifferent to generating their own versus compensating a customer.
Mm-hmm. So, again, equitable to both sides.
Equitable to both sides.
Gotcha.
That's kind of by definition.
Gotcha. And for other questions, and one of these days we'll get back into the conversation about, gee, I like what I'm hearing, and maybe now is the time to move through this. It might also be cause for me to put the best, most incredible, most generating system on the rooftops. Because I know with the MRE folks, you guys are trying to try to balance it so you're not necessarily making every available kilowatt in the system. At least it was the last time we talked about this. So maximizing the space on the roof and making it a very, very efficient system, but a system that will allow for net metering and at one point being able to have all of the costs covered.
Yeah, correct. That is correct.
Okay.
But, and to just take that one step further and not to export too much energy back to the grid where at any point, we're doing what we're supposed to do, which is helping the customer.
Yeah, because I'm still paying for the power that you're generating on my roof.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, for the PPA, on the PPA. Or if you direct purchase, you are correct. But not putting an added burden to the utility where you're slamming a lot of power back to the grid where you don't need to.
Are you expecting any controversy, any sparks to fly at this meeting tonight?
No, not at all. I think it's a very fair, unbiased report. I think we'll deliver the report tonight. I think both sides just need to take it back because there's a lot of people in the industry, on our side who haven't seen the report tonight, review it, and I think it just could lead, hopefully, to other discussions down the road.
So I got my copy because I know a guy, but for people that don't know a guy, when is this going to be available on the Clean Power Research site?
Actually, it will be available after tonight, after we unveil the report.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so
it's available to anybody who wants to see it.
All right, and then we'll, if you need a link, then send me a copy of it, and I'll make sure that it gets posted up on a website so all of my guys can see it. Really nice to meet you.
Well, likewise.
Love to go over this. The problem with this setting here for something like this is there's no beer involved. If there was beer involved in this conversation, I think it would be a little bit easier for me and the listeners to be able to grasp some of the costs and some of the conversations and the basics of this. There's nothing easy about it, and you've got to bring in a whole lot of data, and there's a whole lot of number chewing that you've got to do to come up with these numbers. And I know in some cases with Clean Power Research, there are still people that will look at it and say, that number is too high. Where'd you get that figure? We got to bring this down. And so it is possible that there may still be some folks that will question any numbers that you generate out of this thing. But we'll wait and we'll see what the feathers fly today, 4 o'clock at GPA. Jeff, always a pleasure seeing you.
Ray, thanks for having us.
Pleasure
really
is mine.
appreciate it.
Welcome. How long long did it take you, just real quick, to put this together?
Well, once the data came in and we actually got busy with the actual analysis, it was a few weeks.
A few weeks?
Yeah.
Did it require you to be here the whole time?
No, I came for a kickoff meeting last May and met everybody involved and determined what types of input data were required, and then we take it back. And,
did you go on any field trips?
No, just meeting some of the engineers and planners.
Okay, all right. Just wondering if they might have taken you to, check out Cabris or something like that. Some of the big deals that we've got here, some of the big solar farms that they're putting together. It was nice to have your expertise on this one, Jeff. Joe, thanks very much for bringing these guys in here, and thank you. Just an aside here, thank you for your continued support of the morning show here on The Point. Certainly appreciate you being a big part of our success. It's 9:36, and we'll call that iConnect time. iConnect is they've got these great system push to talk and these mobiles and smart push to talk. So if you're going, well, I don't want that old chirp thing. It doesn't do anything for me in the age of smartphones. They got smartphones push to talk chirp thing. So call them today at iConnect.
Don't wait another day and waste another dollar. You can start saving today. At Guahan Insurance Services, we are here to help protect your investment and save you money. We offer insurance advising for business, car, and home insurance. So come and visit us at our new office at Camacho Landmark Center at Marine Corps Drive in Tamuning, and let us show you that you can count on us for all your insurance needs. Call 475-1162.
How do you turn every day into cash back? With the Bank of Guam Visa credit card, cash back just got better. Get 1.5% cash back every month with every purchase, every pick-me-up, every filler-up, every Sunday dinner, every four-wheel spinner. Whatever comes to mind, even every stroll in the sweet sunshine. Everything your heart desires turns into 1.5% cash back every month. The Bank of Guam Visa credit card, the everyday card. Apply today. Call, click, or visit. Terms and conditions apply. Bank of Guam. Member FDIC.
GTA's best internet deal has arrived. With fiber internet, you get up to 50 megabits of data per second for only $50 per month. And if that's not enough, Fiber Internet 50 plan includes free Wi-Fi. But this offer will only last through the month of April. So sign up today and get ready for faster downloads, more streaming, a better gaming experience, and a stable connection across multiple devices. Conditions may apply. Visit gta.net for more details. GTA, your island, your network.
Ready to buy real estate on Guam? Congratulations! But what now? There are so many questions, so many things to do. Where do you start? The best place to start is to call Century 21 Commonwealth Realty, Guam's biggest name in real estate. They aren't the best because they're the biggest. They're the biggest because they're the best. Trust the name. Find out why. Call Century 21 Commonwealth Realty today. 888-2121. Trust the best.
The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts of Guam Training every morning on The Ray Gibson Show.
How do we solve workplace hate and conflict? It's a tough subject. I'm Jerry Roberts, and at 7:20 a.m. on The Ray Gibson Show, we dig into what you and I can do to make sure our place of business doesn't get into all that.
You can find daily transcripts of The Extra Point by Jerry Roberts at guamtraining.com. Tune in every weekday morning at 7:20 for The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts on The Ray Gibson Show on 93.3 The Point.
In 20 minutes, it'll be 10 o'clock in the morning. Half a day. My name is Raymond, and from the online reviews, Tony says, good interview on solar. GPA's farm strategy is not the future of solar. It's distributed generation. And by distributed, they're talking about your rooftop and that rooftop and the other rooftop. And that is growing. We talked to Simon about it last week. And between Simon and Joey, I hope to find one of them tomorrow after they've had a chance to digest this value of solar report that was produced by Clean Power Research. Tony goes on to write, this kind of thing, this distributed generation, strengthens the local industry. That is jobs, our economy, and ratepayers directly. GPA hasn't dropped their rates, even with solar farms going online. They're asking for increases to cover fuel costs. So to ponder all of that as we make it through. In just a little bit, we'll return, I suppose, to Fox News and Brian Kilmeade and Rush Limbaugh. I do want to say good morning to PRC Guam. That's Manny. That's my tech buddy, Manny. DJ Cure's on. Stay, Tiffany Caldwell. How nice to see you listening online from out there in the stateside. And Catherine is on. Good morning, Catherine. It's nice to have you online. Hope you enjoy the program. Come back tomorrow. It's always fun. Ramona Nakamura, Melissa Salas Akimoto, and Bill Pettit. Now joining me on the telephone, I got Jane Flores. Good morning, Jane.
Hey, good morning, Ray. How are you?
I'm not as busy as you. I just want you to know that. I noticed looking over some emails that I'm getting from you and some press releases that I'm getting from you and advertisements that are going up with GCC that you have a full plate in front of you these days.
We are pretty busy. Yes, we are.
All right, but now there's I could go in the wine tasting portion of the conversation and you can tease that just a little bit. You've got a big wine tasting get together coming up soon.
Yes, we do on April 27th. It's Friday, April 27th from 5:30 to 9, and it's in our beautiful LEED Gold Certified Learning Resource Center, and tickets are $75, and they go to the GCC Foundation to help provide student scholarships. And it's a great evening of fine wines and amazing hors d'oeuvres by our culinary arts students, overseen by, of course, chefs Paul Kerner and Bertrand Harlan. And we are just excited for everybody to come out. And we want to thank our big sponsor of the event, First Hawaiian Bank. And so please give me a call if you want tickets, or you can call 735-5516. But come on down, because it's a great way to spend a nice Friday evening unwinding after a tough week.
Oh, it sure does. It sure does. And so will there be prizes and giveaways?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
We have some very nice prizes to give away.
Are you able to tell me a really big one at this time?
I believe we have an iPhone, and I think it's from GTA.
Okay, so we'll firm that up for the next conversation. Can I tell you why I'm interested in an iPhone?
Why are you interested in an iPhone?
Because they have iWatches. That's the only reason. It's the only thing. Because I'm otherwise a Samsung guy. Got the 8 Note here. And it kind of ticks me off because I got the 8 Note, and like the very next day they said, hey, we're coming out with S9s. But anyway, so...
Well, you are a techie guy.
Yeah. Well, there's no reason why I can't have 2 phones. I mean, I can almost justify it in my head that I should have 2 phones and have the Samsung phone, and then I'll have an iPhone that will pair with an iWatch, because the iWatches, they're coming out with a new iWatch that does like 20 things better than the iPhone did. Than the versions 1s and 2s are. So yeah, that would be interesting. And as soon as I know, then I'll buy all the raffle tickets.
Okay.
I can do all that. So the actual reason why I wanted to spend some time with you this morning is that you guys have got an RFP out for a DNA lab at GCC.
Yes, this is our classroom and DNA lab expansion of the Gregorio D. Perez GPD Crime Lab. And this was actually, we got the paperwork for the USDA loan back in 2014, and it took some time to get the paperwork and the loan to come through. But this is actually our 3rd time that we are putting this out for bid.
So tell me what it is that the DNA lab is going to be able to do. Obviously, it's going to be able to, figure out if somebody's the real baby daddy or fingerprints, leftover bodily fluids from a crime, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. It's a classroom and DNA lab expansion of the crime lab. It's a single-story structure, and it's going to have 2 classrooms and offices and a 4,900 square foot lab that will be run by GPD. So you're going to have to ask them about all
what they're going to be using it for. Okay, so you're just going to be...
I do know what will be in it, though, because we have the specs. So it's an alternate light source lab, biology exam lab, post-amp lab, biovestibule, preamp lab, a reagent room, lab storage, refrigerator storage, evidence storage room, administrative area, 2 offices, a CODIS room, which is a police term that I don't know what it is. So.
Say it again, because it sounded like a different word.
CODIS.
Okay, not COITUS.
No.
Okay, just for clarity. What's going to happen in that room?
I don't know, Ray. Hopefully some things, crime solving.
Crime stuff.
So these are all things that the GPD we got together with GPD and said, what do you need? Because we have this USDA loan. And the reason we are pairing with them is because of our criminal justice program.
No, absolutely. No, I totally get it. And say no more, say no more. I think everybody knows what a great stepping stone that is to jobs in the crime-fighting industries that we've got here on Guam and the Balea guys. So absolutely no problem with that.
Right. As a former reporter, I remember doing stories about the old crime lab over at Teason that was dilapidated and, evidence got moldy and things like that. And it was just really terrible for them. So, it's kind of hard to solve crimes when your evidence gets moldy.
I don't mean to put a damper on the conversation, but it was revealed just in the last couple of days that that Barbara Bush was going to be not leaning into any particular care or therapies for her cancer, and apparently they're reporting now on Fox News that Barbara Bush has died at the age of 92.
Aww.
Yeah, that is sad. A lot of put a lot of faith in God and said been through this and I'm waiting to go home, and now she has.
Right.
So Barbara Bush dead at 92.
Bless her heart.
Yeah, well, the campaigns. You remember when her and her husband were running for president?
Yeah, I actually got to shake President Bush's hand one time when he was here. He and President Clinton had gone over to, I think it was Indonesia, on a mission, and they stopped at Anderson, and a bunch of us were up there, and we called them over. The media, the Air Force people had said, stay away, and we all just said, hey, let's just call them.
Yeah.
And we called them, Mr. President Bush, Mr. President Clinton, and they came over and shook our hands and talked to us a little bit. And I actually asked him, how's Mrs. Bush? He said, she's fine, thank you. But that was, years ago. So
well, they were childhood sweethearts, weren't they?
I believe so. This was a love story for the ages.
Wow. Well, I'm sure we'll learn more about that love story and just all of the stuff that has happened with that family since they stopped being president and being parents of presidents. And again, Barbara Bush has passed away. And we express condolences to anybody here that might have a personal connection with them. The other, getting back to the crime lab, which is interesting, the crime lab concept, the DNA lab concept. I'm sure that there are going to be some that will ask the question, well, if it's going to be a totally stood-up lab and if it's going to have all of those kinds of things and those capabilities built into it, would it be possible to use it for, I don't know, medicinal marijuana? Did you want to dive into that?
We did not dive into it because, once again, we are building it. We got the USDA loan to build it, and that is a question that you would have to ask GPD on, because once we build it and then they take over the crime lab, they will be in charge of it.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see what happens. And they might. Who knows? You might be able to make some money. If I was JI and I had the capabilities of using this as a testing facility for whatever medicinal marijuana would be out there, I would certainly charge for the service and then take that off of whatever loan I got to pay to stand it up. Right?
Yeah. Well, it's an idea. And all ideas at this point are should be considered. So.
I got you. When are you guys going to be doing another one of those reverse job fairs?
Probably next semester, because we're kind of closing out the semester, and graduation for us is May 11th, so that's less than a month away. So everybody's kind of closing out. But it was so successful, and we are waiting to see how many jobs came out of it, and I will, of course, be announcing that, but we are definitely going to do one next semester, and I think it is going to be an expanded one.
I would hope so. Please let us be a bigger part of that. I remember we only got a chance to talk about it a couple of times as you were ramping into it, and then it happened, and I remembered, I should have called and gotten more businesses lined up with that. But I'd really like to make a bigger deal of it. I mean, I'll even give you promo time here on the radio station. We'll run 30-second spots all the time that talk about if you're a businessman and you want to hook up with a bright young man or woman, this is a great way to do it.
Well, it was different because, like, the concept was reverse. It wasn't companies setting up tables and then students walking around. It was students setting up their videos or their photos, or their marketing portfolios, whatever they have, and then the companies walking around and talking to each student. And I was down there for quite a while, and there was a lot of exchange of cards, a lot of company reps saying, wow, this is really great. These these people are really bright. And, it gives the students a chance to actually shine. And instead of them being, the ones approaching the company, is the company approaching them. So, you're guaranteed to be able to talk to people because they're going to walk around. So it was really, I have to give it to Amada Manzana and Jean Cepeda, our business and VisCom department chair, and Jean's our VisCom instructor. It was a great idea.
Well, and I can already hear the commercials now. I can hear the thing. Hi, this is Jane Flores, and if you're looking for an IT professional, then let's get together at the Reverse Job Fair happening this weekend. Yada yada yada, and all the different job capacities. And that way, we do it something like that with a handful of these folks. The businesses that are looking for that kind of talent know exactly who to make a beeline for.
Absolutely.
And they'll get paid more money. And they'll write into their wills GCC.
Well,
something special for the endowment.
And we want to get them out into the workforce and be successful members of Guam's workforce, and take over. This is the generation that's going to really give us hopefully fix everything that is. We needs fixing on the island.
Yeah, there's journalist here. Yeah, I got a journalist on the phone. We know what the problems are. We just need the brain power to fix them, and I'm glad that we're growing them at GCC. Hey, listen, I'm going to let you run. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, thanks a lot, Ray.
Appreciate it. Jane Flores, that's Flores with 1 O. Sorry, not the way I wrote it on the telephone thing that I've got on the screen. 9:53 in the morning. Last break of the program, and let me wrap it up after this.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
Security Title is honored to join in sponsoring Ray Gibson on The Point. Buenas and Hafade, Guahusi Claraminglatnya of Malolo. And this is where I start my day, listening to the voices of our community and sharing thoughts about issues that affect all of us. It all boils down to our people and our land. Protehi Itanotmu, protect your land. When it comes to your family land, remember to call the professionals at Security Title, just like you call Ray Gibson in the morning.
Stop by any Circle K today and overload your For Real. It's simple. Pick out your favorite For Real shake, blend it, and then mix and match any 2 toppings for only $1. Overload your For Real with a variety of sweet treats like Oreo cookies, gummy bears, classic M&Ms or peanut M&Ms, and Reese's peanut butter cups. Simply add them to your For Real shake for an overload experience and enjoy. For Real Overload, only available at participating Circle Ks. Circle K, take it easy.
With the largest inventory of rental equipment on Guam, East West Rental Center is sure to have the tool you need to get your job finished quickly. From equipment rental, party rental, parts and service to used equipment, East West Rental Center has what you need. Call East West Rental Center at 646-1463 or visit them online and browse through their online rental catalog at eastwestrental.com. They're located in Upper Tumon, right across St. John's School. East West Rental Center, providing the island of Guam with quality equipment rentals since 1972.
Yes, money is something we should talk about and plan for and use to make life better. It's how we make our giant leap from where we are to where we want to be. So let's talk together and work together to check off shiny new kitchens, fully nested dorm rooms, and bucket lists with more countries than our passports can hold. Let's check them all off together. First Hawaiian Bank. It all starts with yes. Member FDIC.
Fox News Live coming up. I emphasize live because there are some places that are running the newscast in a delayed basis. How can you tell? Well, I'll give you permission. Push the button around if a little bit, and if you don't hear anything about Barbara Bush dying, then it is a delayed newscast. Fox News Live coming up in just a few moments, and in fact, Fox News on some of their other audio channels has gone to full-time coverage of her passing this morning. Again, Barbara Bush dead at 92. We'll have details for you on the air in about 3.5 minutes from right now. This is The Point. My name is Ray Gibson. The calls are KUSG, Haggadah. Good, got that out of the way, so I can talk clear to the top of the hour on a couple of a couple of things that have been in my head. But frankly, we've had other people and other pressing things in front of me to talk about. And I'll give you one here, an example. Both newspapers have got art, that is pictures of from inside the helicopter, right, when they rescued those hikers over the weekend. Now, there's a couple of points that I want to make about that. Number one, thank God we've got the military in our background the way that we do. I know that there are some of you out there that have got, some issues about militarization and the military buildup and all of that. But the fact that we've got the HC-5 squadron out here that has gone out multiple occasions, rescues, recoveries, unfortunately, at sea. Oh, I want to say there was a couple of big fires up in Nimitz.
I was going to say, yeah, helping with the grass fires we recently had.
I didn't even know they could do that.
Yeah.
I didn't know
bucket.
that was on the capabilities that they had over there. But, it's nice to have these guys, men and women of HC Det 5 out, HSC Det 5 out there with that squadron. Thank God that they are here to be able to help out the community. I'm here to tell you, it seems to me there is no greater force for the good of a community, the good of a region, than an active military community, the kind that we have here on Guam. So, General, Admiral, whoever you are, thanks very much. I appreciate that. The second thing is, how badly do I have to be lost before I get a helicopter ride?
That's an interesting question.
Just how bad does it have to be? I mean,
could you even be that lost here on Guam?
Could I? Oh yeah. That's no problem. There's places middle of the daytime. You can walk into the jungle 20 feet, and you'll lose your bearings completely. You can't see outside. Where's the sun? I don't know. Can you hear the ocean? There are people that there's a guy a few years ago got lost. It was, I think, a prank that his buddies did on him. Right. They dropped him off somewhere in Two Lovers Point in that area and left, and it freaked the guy out. And frankly, I would be freaked out as well because I don't know where there are holes in the ground that will make you fall 100 feet to your death. So I pretty much keep to myself. And back in those days, we didn't have cell phone coverage the same way that we've got right now. So he wasn't able to, he I think literally had to scream for help for hours and hours and hours, even after the sun came up. I remember oddly enough, was investigating a helicopter crash a few years ago out in the Funty River. And on my way out, I got separated from the guides, the people that knew the area, and got into a place where there were very tall weeds, could not even see the moon.
Suddenly you thought you were in Nam.
Yeah. Stay in the boat. Stay in the boat, ladies and gentlemen. So that's the big question, is just how lost do I have to be? Come on, it's a helicopter ride. Right? Not only is it a helicopter ride, they send the wire down to you, and you clamp on with somebody, and you get to ride up the wire into the helicopter, and then back to the airport.
Regardless of the physics that say helicopters are not supposed to fly,
no,
they are actually a lot of fun to fly.
1,000,000 parts moving away from each other at the speed of light. That's how you describe a helicopter. Hey, I hear the music in the background. I guess that means it's time to go. I had a fantastic time in the program today. I hope you did as well. And we'll get caught up together again tomorrow morning. Trust me, there will be more stuff to talk about and maybe a little bit more of a rant. We'll see what happens. You enjoy the rest of your day. Brian Kilmeade's coming up. Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, and plenty more great, exciting mainland-style talk radio right here on The Point.
This is a Fox News alert. A goodbye to a former First Lady. I'm Lisa Lacera. Her family just announced she was in failing health. Barbara Bush has died.
Barbara Pierce Bush developed a love for language early in her life. As the daughter of a career magazine publisher, her mother and father read to her beginning the day she was born on June 8, 1925, in Queens, New York. She met George Herbert Walker Bush at a Christmas dance when she was 16.
I don't know anyone funnier than he is.
They were engaged within a year and a half and married in 1945 when George returned home from the war. The couple moved more than 24 times during their marriage. They settled in Midland, Texas.